at the hotel end is lovely. The sunshine, and we have some blue sky and a few clouds above us. But don't let the picture deceive you. For those watching on the live stream, I'm sure you'll see plenty of blue sky and sunshine. It looks quite bright, but there's a really, really strong wind that's whipping around the ground. This is not particularly pleasant conditions, even with the sunshine. And even with the dry conditions, the wind will make this, I think, pretty awkward for the bowlers.
Yeah, I think you're right. But the sun is out, so we are starting, as I say, in a couple of minutes' time. So there are 72 overs minimum left in the game. Tea has been brought forward slightly to 325, and we have lost just 24 overs by my calculations.
Yeah, we were chatting maybe before. Me and Dave were chatting on the way back round from lunch, saying maybe something like 60 overs, something like that. We might get. So 72 is quite a long day, and I think the forecast now is okay. I think it was just this morning where the showers were likely to affect us. So there's every chance if we get to that stage where we're going to get quite a bit of cricket in, or we could get an hour and a half or so after tea and maybe call it quits. We shall see.
Well, a lot will happen. A lot will gauge towards that from what happens this afternoon. It's going to be Nathan Lyon to open up from our commentary end, the hotel end, the southern end of the ground. Sorry, the northern end of the ground. And he's going to be bowling to Kyle Abbott, the night watchman. He's 5 not out. Nick Gubbins at the other end is 20 not out. Hampshire 39 for 2 then in their second innings. Here's Nathan Lyon with 3 around the bat. And it's just pitched and turned a fraction, but Abbott is well forward.
Got Nathan Lyon shouting for the first time, hasn't it, today? We might see quite a bit of that, I reckon, with men around the bat as the afternoon progresses.
Yeah, there's a bit of rough for him to work with. Oh, can you see the dust just whipping up there with these gusts of wind? And they are, as Scott Reed says, very heavy gusts of wind. Here's Lyon, bowls. That's turned a little bit, and turned around the corner for a single by Abbott. Moves on to 6. Hampshire are behind by 77. Did you see that? Nathan Lyon just gave a little pat on the glove to Kyle Abbott there. Love that.
It's been playing in good spirit, hasn't it? The game as you'd expect, and early season. It all seems pretty good-natured. Nathan and his family have been here. They've been staying in the hotel, watching down for the 4 days, which is nice. While they're watching bowl Lancashire to victory.
Still 3 around the bat for Gubbins, the left-hander, who just pushes that into the ground behind square on the offside. I think we're going to see a lot of that. It is slow turn for Nathan Lyon, just to emphasise that, and we emphasised that point quite a bit yesterday. So, but not ideal for Lyon or any spinner. They want a bit more pace in the wicket. They like a little bit more bounce as well. But you've got to pitch the ball in exactly the right areas to really cause a problem. But I'm sure he will, as Gubbins plays, I think, inside the line there. But that's a good length. Brings the batter forward. Never quite sure what it's going to do as it pitches. But yeah, a wearing pitch. Some areas for Lyon to work with.
There is, yeah. Footmarks, both actually for the left-hander and right-hander for him to try and work with.
Blustery conditions, Lyon bowls, and it's whipped away. It sort of started, well, it sort of ended up middle and leg, and it kept going, and Gubbins quite easily working out a way towards deep mid-wicket for a 2, and Gubbins moves on to 22, the deficit down to 75. But yes, still a large chunk of the day left in terms of the number of overs.
Yeah. Quite a bit of cricket to go, so there's a lot of batting here for Hampshire to do. Try and chip away at this deficit of 75 and try and get their noses in front, and then further they can get in front, the likely we are heading towards draw.
Lyon bowls, yes, too short. Gubbins on the back foot, steers that out to point. And that'll be the end of the first over of day 4. With Hampshire in their second innings, 42 for 2. They added 3 runs there. Not surprising, there's not a particularly big crowd here. I know Hampshire dropped their prices for today, but let's be honest, we only walk across to the other side very quickly, and we freeze to death doing that.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the forecast has been pretty solid for rain in the morning, but actually, the forecast for winds has been the case all week. They'll be suggesting winds upwards of 40 miles an hour through the late morning, early afternoon. That's not changed. So, yeah, that's going to put a few people off, which is understandable. It's when the wind whips around, it is pretty brutal.
Doesn't help being high up, does it?
No. Oh. Could be Will Williams to open up from the pavilion. He bowled a very nice little spell just before the close of play last night, and it was that 2-over burst from the pavilion end that got the second wicket of Ali Orr, who just was caught behind. There was a very awkward little 2-over spell, and he bowled beautifully, Williams, at the end there yesterday. So he's going to start up after for Lancashire with the night watchman Kyle Abbott on strike, coming out late last night, just to make sure his skipper didn't have to face a few deliveries at the end of the day. He's faced 19 balls so far as Kyle Abbott. There's 2 slips in place, the keeper standing up as well. There's a short square leg, a short extra cover, a couple of men close in catching as Williams bowls to Abbott. That's nudged away off his hip. There's runs here through mid-wicket. That's Jack Blatherwick who's chasing after it, and Abbott comes back for 2, so he moves on to 8 and score now to 44 for 2, a deficit of 73.
I was thinking to myself before we came on here actually that out of all the seam bowlers in this game, I think Will Williams has probably got as much out of this pitch as anybody, probably the most. There hasn't been a lot of joy for the seamers, especially once the ball gets a little older, but I think when you just look at the overs that he's bowled compared to the others, and you think about how he's bowled, he's got the ball to do more than anybody, I think.
In balls to Abbott, who defends from the crease and brings his bat down. That may just have come back into Abbott, just angling the bat down and keeping the ball out. He's got 2 for 14 in the second innings, and he picked up 2 for 49 from 19 overs in the first innings.
He's bowled well, hasn't he?
He has. Skillful bowler, Will Williams. It's a good opening partnership that they have, Lancashire, with Williams and with Bailey. Both offer a threat either to the left-hander or right-hander, and both can do a little bit something different. Williams can bring it back in and take it away. He's done that a few times through his short career. With Lancashire as Abbott off the front foot and drive back down the pitch. And there is no run.
It's quite handy, isn't it? Because he's a Kiwi, but with a British passport.
Yes, yeah. It does help.
Well, it helps if you're a county and want him to play for you.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You've got to worry about it. You can still have your overseas players as well, can't you? On top.
Which they've got 2 in this side, Nathan Lyon and Tom Bruce.
Yeah.
Williams to Abbott, right in behind it and defending, shuffling across his stumps and playing it up towards mid-on where Bailey fields, and there's no run. 44 for 2.
Well, Abbott's got a big role to play here. I know he's only the night watchman, but the more overs that he can last with time running out, it's quite important. He can last a good hour. I mean, that's probably a lot to ask, but even so, if he did, then that really does start to put the game to bed.
Yes, become that irritating night watchman that teams struggle to get out. Solid in defence again, Abbott right in behind it. The ball bounces to mid-off and no run.
There might be a little bit of hardness in this ball. 23rd over. Might be a little bit there, but I guess your guys have been telling you, and I know 1 or 2 in the Hampshire side have been telling me that the ball's just soft, which I take meaning that most of the time you're in the field the ball's soft. Not the first few overs, but I don't think it takes long.
It's not unfamiliar to Williams. Played most of his first-class career with the Kookaburra Ball in New Zealand. It's hammered away by Abbott before through point, and a pretty emphatic way to end the over. He got a couple through mid-wicket to start the over, and then standing pretty tall at the crease, bit of width there for him to thrash it away through the offside for 4. He moves on to 12 now, so it's 48 for 2. The deficit is 69.
Yeah, it's important to knock off a few of these runs as well. That helps with the time in the game with which you can save it. Once you start getting in front, it makes it doubly difficult, but it's a nice little start from Hampshire. They are 69 behind now, having started their second innings 114 behind, I think it was.
17, I think.
117, thank you.
Yeah, done well on the chipped away. I mean, they've lost the openers pretty quickly again in this second innings, but they've got so much to come. They've got so much batting to come, and Abbott can bat. He's doing the night watchman role here, but then with Vince and Preston, Dawson and Brown, who can all bat.
Here's Lyon round the wickets. Gubbins leaves that one alone. Inside of a stump into the gloves of Matthew Hurst. You're right, and Abbott was out in the first innings, wasn't he? Sort of trying to sort of hit out because Abbas was at the other end. So he's got no excuse to do that this time. He does have a reasonable technique. That'll be a quick single on the leg side. Put a little push square on the leg side from Gubbins. Moves on to 23. 49 for 2.
It's that middle order that's so impressive, isn't it, for Hampshire? Gubbins out there at the minute. Vince to come. Prest batted beautifully in the first innings, making 85. Dawson made 86. It's the Gubbins, Vince, Prest, Dawson in that middle, in that heart of the Hampshire batting lineup that's going to either save the match for Hampshire and secure a draw. That's the challenge that's facing Lancashire, trying to get through all that.
Yeah, you need to get in amongst that, don't you, quite quickly as well. Oh, he's well forward there, Abbott. I think he's outside the line. Worth a shout, though. It's also done a bit out of the footmarks. So, if I'm honest, on balance, I'm not sure it really could be given. You watch on the replay there. It's a bit difficult because obviously it's behind the batter. But he's got a good stride in.
He did.
And it did turn off the pitch. In again, Abbott drives in the air and he's caught it short leg. Well, he held it back there. Did Lyon, and George Bell took a smart catch there. And he wasn't hit out the middle of the bat, but he had to have good reactions. And Abbott goes for 12, having only added 7 from his overnight total.
Spoke to George Bell last night about fielding at short leg to Nathan Lyon, and he said he was looking forward to the moment where he gets to take a catch off Lyon's bowling at short leg. Well, he's got it. He seemed almost more excited about the prospect of doing that than reaching a century. He was quite excited about that. The idea of being right in there in position to take the catch off Nathan Lyon delivery, and that's exactly what's happened. And it was a smart catch.
It was.
It went pretty quickly to him, and he reacted really well. Well, I guess that's kind of job done, isn't it? I mean, that's Abbott's gone, so he's done his bit a little bit last night. He couldn't go on much today, but this is where the real game starts now, because Gubbins is still there, and as you can see for those viewers on the stream, what is to come? It's Vince, it's Brown, it's Dawson, it's Prest, not necessarily in that order, but that's the beating heart of it, isn't it? That's where the work's got to be done for Lancashire.
So Kyle Abbott lasted another 10 balls this morning, and he's gone. So yes, it's only the night watchman, but it is another wicket ticked off, and that's what you'll be looking at as a field inside. Doesn't matter who's batting, when. So just get these wickets ticked off.
They've got to get 10, so it doesn't matter when they come, isn't it, I suppose?
That's right. Hampshire skipper walking to the crease, coming in at 5 because of Kyle Abbott's elevation as the night watchman. And Nathan Lyon picked him up in the first innings, not before he'd scored a half century, but you had a feeling that Lyon had a plan.
Yes.
Didn't you, to James Vince, with the leg slip there.
And they kind of went to that pretty early on, didn't they? So it's obviously something that they've spoken about. It's something that maybe Lyon has looked at and spotted and suggested, but they went to this plan pretty much as soon as Vince came out. He did really well. He got 50 runs. He batted nicely, but they had this plan to Vince, and eventually they got him in that way.
So a big role for the skipper here, and he does have the leg slip in. He's got the short leg in, of course. As Lyon comes in and bowls to Vince. It's turned out of the rough and hit the front pad, but Vince is well forward. But that line wasn't with the leg slip in mind. But yeah, Vince unable to sort of keep over his shot in the first innings, and was taken there. You would think Lyon will go for that line at some point. Bowls, down the wicket comes Vince, drives up to mid-on where Keaton Jennings is deep, and Vince off the mark. Hampshire 50 for 3 in their second innings. Successful over there for Nathan Lyon, with Kyle Abbott out for 12. And the score, as I say, 50 for 3. Hampshire trail by 67.
We'll be talking a lot, obviously, over the course of the previous 3 days about the pace of the pitch here at the Utilita Bowl and the Kookaburra Bowl and all that stuff. But we've also said there's also that Lyon factor. There is you got to accommodate the fact that they've got Nathan Lyon here, Lancashire, and it'd be interesting to see come the final day, 4th day of the pitch, just what impact Lyon could have. Now he's picked up the night watchman. This is where kind of the main part of the work starts now, but there's an intriguing element to it to have that Nathan Lyon option in the Lancashire side, as we welcome listeners on Sports Extra to a blustery Utilita Bowl where Hampshire have lost their night watchman, which is Kyle Abbott, off the bowling of Nathan Lyon, caught by George Bell at short leg. We've got Will Williams bowling to the Hampshire captain James Vince. He defends to mid-wicket. Hampshire are 50 for 3 in their second innings and they trail by 67.
Yes, we lost 24 overs because of quite a heavy shower around 9 o'clock this morning. It was forecast and the covers were on for quite a while after that. It was still gloomy, but I wouldn't say the clouds have quite parted yet, but they're being blown across the sky quite quickly by this wind. But there are patches of blue sky as well, so it's a lot better than it was this morning.
Keeper standing up with a couple of slips in place and Vince on strike, and from the crease just eases the ball away through the offside, beats Balderson, who's at cover point, and Bohannon, who's at extra cover, has to go catch up with the ball, which he does, and Vince crosses for a single, doubles his total, moves on to 2. It's 51 for 3 now. Hampshire trail by 66.
And a further weather update, it is very cold. It is very cold. The crowd is well down on the last 3 days, as you would expect. Not very nice this morning. And we've only been outside for a few minutes at a time, and you really feel it. So I wouldn't want to be watching 2 sessions outside. I must admit, I don't know what state I'd be in after that.
Yeah, if you're watching on the live stream, it does look lovely, and it is, it looks lovely, but blimey, there's a bitter wind which is whipping around the ground. Will Williams around the wicket bowls, left by Gubbins, and Matty Hurst, the keeper, standing up, takes the catch, and there's no run.
Well, Lancashire have done what they wanted to do, get a wicket straight away, which they have within 9 minutes of the start. 10 past 1. They got underway on day 4 after an early lunch, a couple of inspections. And I have to say, the ground looked ready to be played by then. It was not a surprise that we started at 10 past 1.
Yeah, it's 72 overs to go when we started play. Nudged away off the hit by Nick Gubbins, out towards deep mid-wicket, in front of the shame-worn stand. Josh Bohannon comes up from the boundary to field. Gubbins gets a single, so he's 24, and Hampshire now 52 for 3 in their second innings. Just slowly chipping away at this deficit, starting 117 runs behind. Lancashire picking up 2 wickets before the close of play last night, one right at the very end, which brought out Kyle Abbott as a night watchman. Both off the bowling of the New Zealander. Will Williams, who's running in from the pavilion end. Vince is on strike. He bowls to Vince, who plays forward and defends, and there's no run.
Yes, I think for those that have got to know this ground reasonably well and watched results over the last few years, it's not really a typical Utilita Bowl pitch. It's quite slow, it's quite easy paced, and there's nothing there really for the bowlers. A little bit with the new ball. Will Williams has probably got as much as anybody out of the pitch, but there is not a lot. It's unusual for games to go to day 4, to be honest.
Williams bowls to Vince, and Vince defends. He's bowling around the wicket to Vince with the keeper stood up and just angling it into Vince, and he plays solidly off the front foot. And the ball bounces to mid-off, no run. 52 for 3 at the end of the over. So Hampshire trail by 65 runs with 7 wickets remaining.
Yeah, I think I don't know, at the end of play last night, in the situation that Hampshire were in, trying to hold on to 8 wickets this morning, I think you probably just about would have said, yeah, they could probably just about hang on, because there's the Nathan Lyon factor, blah blah blah. But then, having lost 24 overs, of course, that helps. They'll still have to have a little bit of luck as well as bowl well here, Lancashire, I think, to bowl Hampshire out. But still still a lot of work to do. It's not over and done and dusted, that's for sure, but you'd feel reasonably confident on this pitch, even on day 4, that Hampshire can hang on. But that's not, I wouldn't say I was overly confident, but I think I would back them more than not, I think, with this pitch the way it's been and with this ball. Lion bowls, Gubbins whips that away up to mid-on. No single, as it was straight to the fielder, Tom Bailey.
It's pretty early on, but they have been quite positive, hasn't they, with it, both in defence and attack. The idea of trying to rotate it and just keep the score ticking on, bringing that deficit down.
Yeah.
Well, it's just trying to block it out.
It's quite short there from Lion. He's got away with that. Gubbins stepping away and cutting that, didn't time it. Goes out towards extra cover. There is a bit of dust whipping up, isn't there? That's as much with the wind as much as anything. But there's definitely footmarks around, but it's not spitting, is it? It's not spitting out of those. Lion tosses that one up. Gubbins well forward. Quietly goes out on the offside. Gubbins has been very good at sort of picking the right balls, isn't he, really? Anything that's in the right area from Lion, dead back. Not tried to do anything fancy. Waited for the odd short ball and the odd ball that's too straight. That's turned a fraction, but it's slow. And Gubbins plays it into the ground quite easy.
Yeah, he gave himself some time, didn't he? Went back to that.
Yeah.
So that slow turn, going back into the crease, calmly just dabbing the ball away. It's a good battle though, isn't it? It's interesting to watch, is this, the way that Lion's trying to get something out of it.
It is fantastic, isn't it? As was the first innings.
Yeah.
As Gubbins punches that off the back foot up to mid-off, where he actually had less to work with Lion.
Yeah.
So we saw, I say variations, they're subtle variations. Tom Prest, I think, put it well. He said he gets a tremendous amount of dip, Lion, which makes it a little difficult. But he said he loved facing it, enjoyed it. Enjoyed the battle. There's the one that's sort of straight, which Gubbins can work on the leg side. He's always waiting for that one. Picks up a single. Moves on to 25, and it's 53 for 3 at the end of that line over. He's bowled 9 overs, 1 for 14.
Elsewhere, and there's, I think most of the games have had an effect, or been affected by the weather at some point. They've reached lunch at the Oval, where Somerset are batting in their second innings, and trying to make sure that nothing untoward happens in that game. Somerset 109 runs in front with 4 wickets remaining. At 252 for 6. Somerset leads Surrey by 109 with 4 wickets remaining. They're playing at Edgbaston, where it's lunch, and Durham are 119 for 3. And Durham trail Warwickshire by 62 runs with 7 wickets remaining. They got to 517 and still didn't avoid the follow-on.
Unbelievable, wasn't it? So they've lost a wicket this morning, Durham. They were 12 for 2 this morning. Well, overnight, anyway. Somerset haven't lost one.
Yeah, they've got to lunch, still 6 down. Williams around the wicket, bowls. That's carved away by Gubbins in front of square. Timing was beautiful. Didn't thrash at it at all, just really nice timing. Slightly bent knees and just carves it square of the wicket for 4. That's a good looking shot. Moves on to 29.
I'll just make the ball a little damp as well. Looks like Simon Lee's dog, the groundsman, has retrieved that ball by the tunnel.
Love that.
There he is. A little terrier. I don't know, I'm not sure if he's a terrier, but he looks like a little terrier, doesn't he? Running and scampering around there.
It's like a little cheeky one, isn't it?
Yeah, on the lookout for any spare cricket balls.
57 for 3 to deficit now of 60. So they've not played it yet at Chelmsford, which will be frustrating Essex no end. They did declare their second innings on 257 for 4. But I think I saw somewhere that they're due to start at 140 at Chelmsford. So a couple of sessions for Essex to try and take 10 wickets for Kent to either bat through or try and get 375 runs. And there's nothing at Trent Bridge, Nottinghamshire, Worcestershire, delayed, with Nottinghamshire leading Worcestershire by 195 runs with 3 wickets remaining at Trent Bridge.
I got a message to say there was a tornado at Trent Bridge, but I haven't seen anything sort of on social media.
Oh, blimey, right.
So I don't know.
Williams bowls to Gubbins, who's forward in defence, and there's no run.
So I don't know whether it's true or not, but that was a message I got, which was from a decent source. But
in Division 2, a couple of results. Leicestershire Sussex match drawn. Northamptonshire Middlesex match drawn. With pretty poor weather around, and there's 2 games that are currently in play. Both are at lunch in Division 2. One in Cardiff and one in Bristol. Williams is bowling to Gubbins, dabbed away into the offside for no run. Glamorgan against Derbyshire. Derbyshire required 273 runs to win. Glamorgan looking for 7 wickets in the final 2 sessions, and Yorkshire are at Gloucestershire this week. Gloucestershire need 332 runs to win. Yorkshire looking for 6 wickets.
So there's a bit of play in most games, isn't there? After that troubled morning of weather.
Will Williams for Lancashire around the wickets, and Nick Gubbins, who just eased up onto his toes and then flicks the ball away to backward square leg and calmly jogs through for a single. 30 to Gubbins now. Hampshire 58 for 3, trail by 59.
Tea at 3:25 this afternoon. We've been brought forward by 15 minutes. If anybody's making note. It's an important session here, isn't it, for Lancashire to get some sort of momentum. They're going to have to be patient, there is no doubt about it. The pitch is playing pretty much as we expected.
Yep.
No pace in it. Once that ball gets a little soft, really the seamers have been fairly ineffective, really. The wickets have been taken when the ball's been a little harder. Might have had the odd one here and there, but not much. Mainly when a batter's chipped it somewhere, as that's pushed. Oh, it's you, isn't it? Sorry.
Right.
Which Luke Wells did and Balderson did. Which sort of came out of the blue, really, didn't they?
Kind of gave it away a bit.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. One deep, one shorter.
Been a couple on both sides, really. That kind of got in and not been able to go and get a big score, with the exception of Keaton Jennings, who made a brilliant 175. Spoke to George Bell last night, who made his 99. Dear. Williams into Vince, and that's pushed away towards George Bell, actually. End of the over. 58 for 3, a deficit of 59. Gubbins on 30 and Vince on 2. He came down the stairs to George Bell last night and a little cheeky grin on his face and went, "These things happen." I said I wasn't quite sure whether or not what mood he would be in, but he's always a pretty relaxed, kind of chirpy type of guy.
Good one.
And he spoke really well. It was a very, very nice interview that he gave about how he can learn from it and this be part of his development. Because he made the point that George Balderson was out 3 times in the 90s before getting his first century.
Oh, was he?
And Bell's now been out twice in the 90s, so he's like, I can learn from this like he did.
Okay. Here's Lyon then round the wicket to the left-hander Gubbins. He's on the back foot, playing it late, which is what you should be doing. Plays it into the ground. I thought you were going to say George Bell came down the steps and then got sent back again. But didn't quite make it.
Didn't quite make his ground. You cruel man. You cruel man.
It was close, wasn't it? There wasn't a lot in it because the
No.
umpire did take his time. I got sent an amazing photo. Here's Lyon, just giving that a bit of air. Gubbins has that covered. I got sent an amazing photo by Hampshire's photographer, Dave Vokes, which summed up the whole of that moment. I think I showed you, didn't I?
You did, yeah.
Which, I mean, it's not a great photo from George Bell's point of view.
He wouldn't want to see this photograph particularly.
No, but it was a great piece of fielding, wasn't it? It was half stopped by Gubbins, which is why George Bell was then so keen to get his single. It's pushed out to mid-off. And then he obviously didn't realise that Ian Holland was in close proximity, who picked it up and threw the stumps down. Probably only had about a stump and a fraction to aim at. And I've got the photo in front of me again. And there he is, the middle stump knocked back, with George Bell with his hand on his head, his helmet, and several of the Hampshire fielders running towards Ian Holland, who by then had made it towards the stumps with his forward momentum. That's played out behind square on the offside. And George Balderson's just sort of sitting on his bat, well in his ground.
Look at poor George Bell.
Poor George Bell, he looks distraught. But it's just one of those photos that one click tells the whole story in that area. So well done to him, well done to Dave. Here's Lyon in a blustery Utilita Bowl. There's the straight one that Gubbins can just easily work on the leg side, and he's meat and drink Is that the phrase? Something like that. For a left-hander that with an off-spinner that doesn't turn, he's got to pitch it fairly straight to get him to play. And of course, if he doesn't turn, then it just goes on with the arm. And it is a very, very simple shot for a left-hander. He moves on to 31, 59 for 3. Hampshire trail by 58. Field changes now for Vince. A little bit of rough on, certainly just outside off stump, which we've seen the ball turn out of. Vince goes for the sweep, but he's outside the line. Wraps him on the front pad. Didn't see Vince sweep Lyon too much in the first innings, did we? Which is why I think Lyon then decided to sort of go for that middle and leg line, and with the leg slit there, and then that's when Vince wasn't able to keep over one. Got caught in that area, but it looks like he may just have decided to sweep in this innings. 65 to go, minimum. 65 overs in the game now.
Yeah, he's got quite a bit of bowling to do, isn't he, Nathan Lyon? Did he have in this first innings 38 overs, was it? And then Liam Dawson twirled away for 49 for Hampshire, picking up 4 wickets. Let's see a bit of Luke Wells with his leg spin at some point a little bit later on. We might even see some off spin from Tom Bailey. We saw that yesterday as well.
Especially with a left-hander out there. Yeah.
Will be Will Williams to send down his 10th over, 2 for 25, 59 for 3, and Nick Gubbins on strike. A couple of slips in place, got crouching down. Williams from around the wicket and neatly and calmly onto the front foot goes Nick Gubbins and defends, and there's no run. I can see the groundsman's dog on the nursery ground now. He's having an absolute whale of a time running around away to our left on the nursery ground. Got the whole field to himself. There was a game taking place there yesterday. It was kind of a friendly match, wasn't it, I think, between the Vipers and
Vipers Academy and Hampshire.
Okay.
And Emily Wins, they played 2 T20s, and Emily Wins has scored a total of 100 runs across both games.
Nice. Short by Williams, pulled by Gubbins. Controlled pull and not full-blooded. So guiding that pull shot down towards backward square leg. And there's 1 run for Gubbins. He moves to 32. It's 60 for 3.
In fact, as I was walking back round there from lunch, from the other side of the ground, she was walking out to bat, and I watched 1 ball. She hit it for 4. So I then sort of texted her later on in the last night and say, well played, I just saw 1 shot. She said, well, actually, I batted twice for 104 not out on the day. So there we are.
Solid
So
effort.
2 not outs, obviously 2 decent scores. So she's in good form, which is good news. Good news for the Vipers.
60 for 3, deficit of 57. So Vince is on strike. 2 slips, point, cover, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, deep square leg and a fine leg. And Vince just guides the ball calmly away down through gully. And again, there is no run. Vince on 2, Gubbins on 32. Deficit of 57. It's going to be an afternoon of patience, this for Lancashire. I suspect we'll see a few creative things being done by the captain to try and find a wicket or 2. Forward goes Vince in defence, on the bounce, back to Williams. Again, there's no run. There's quite a lot of variations from the bowlers, so that from the seamers, isn't we? Bailey bowling his slow balls a few times.
Will Williams, I think, went bouncer mode
He
in
did,
the
didn't
first
he?
innings
Yeah,
for a little
okay.
while.
Lots of catches in front of the bat. The slips were quickly dispensed with in both innings, actually, when Lancashire were batting first time and when Hampshire were batting first time. Trying to find a way to get a breakthrough. Williams back into Vince. Shuffling back and defending. Just come back into Vince, that from Williams. And there's no run.
Well, Vince is in one of his defensive modes at the moment. 2 off 12 deliveries. I've seen him play very, very defensive at times. I mean, we're so used to seeing him play flamboyant shots, which he's very, very good at, and scoring at a reasonable pace. But I've also seen him play. Well, he didn't play many shots, and early signs are he might be in one of those moods.
I can't say I've seen a Vince in innings like this. I've seen a Vince on the attack mainly. Is he solid in defence and there's no run, so it will be quite interesting to watch if it's Vince in slightly defensive mode. He's now faced 13 deliveries for his 2 runs. 60 for 3, trailed by 57.
Thank you very much, Scott. He's going to have a bit of a break. And we've got the analyst back, Simon Hughes, who's with us. He's going to be joining me, Kevin James, for the next half hour, where it is still very blustery. I have to say, we're slightly sheltered up here in the camera gantry, but I think even we might feel it come maybe the shake of hands at 10 to 5. Down there, yours.
Oh.
Hey?
I mean,
there's the flag.
Oh, it's just
pavilion.
blustery, isn't it? And the spectators are all wrapped up as if they've gone skiing, haven't they? Ski wear in demand here today.
I don't think there'll be any shorts around the ground today. Well, there was 1 or 2 inch shorts yesterday evening, which it got very cold, didn't it? It wasn't windy, it was cold. Here's Lyon to start his 11th over. Around the wicket to Gubbins. Again, he's slightly short. Gubbins on the back foot. Hits it out to extra cover, no run. But yeah, no shorts today. If you're wearing shorts today, then... Actually, I think 1 or 2 of the players are.
You get a few chill blains on a day like this, don't you?
I couldn't do that. I'm struggling with just a fleece.
It's amazing. The people say, oh, it's a 3-sweater day. Of course, players don't wear the old-fashioned cable knit sweaters anymore, do they? They wear the body warmers and stuff, and they're still out there in a shirt.
What about those electric vests? Have you seen those? As Gubbins pushes forward. I saw those
Sounds
for the first time in the
kinky.
winter. Well, no, you press a button on your chest or something like that, and they're like, like the old-fashioned thermals.
Yeah.
They're like that, but they're much more up-to-date, and they're just electric. So you charge them up as a top, an overgarment, and you just press a button, and they sort of warm you up. I saw that for the first time in the winter. I think I might get one of them. That's pushed out on the offside, and there is no run. Day like today would be ideal.
I wonder how Nathan Lyon's dealing with it, actually, because, I mean, gripping the ball with this cold, blustery wind must not be easy.
No.
But he's bowling pretty well.
Still got good control. No runs off his first 3 deliveries. He's over the wicket this time to Gubbins. Again, he's just prodding forward quietly. I think we'll see him do anything too extravagant. 84 balls for his 32 so far. I think he's played Nathan Lyon pretty well so far.
He's
judged him well, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. I mean, it's about judging length, obviously, but also bat out in front of pad to stop that potential bat pad catch. The whole silly point idea has sort of gone out of the game quite a bit now, because batsmen play with the bat in front of the pad.
Tell us more. Yeah, as that goes out on the leg side. See, before they used to, the bat used to be behind the pad.
It's a DRS advent, really. The advent of DRS caused a lot of batsmen to be given out playing pad first, which they used to do, didn't they? Pad and bat sort of close together. But now, because of DRS, they tend to put the bat out in front of the pad to make sure they try and get the bat on it, obviously.
Which is not a bad thing, actually. He's gone back round the wicket. Gubbins quietly plays that on the leg side. End of the over. That's a maiden to Lyon. 60 for 3 Hampshire, trailed by 57. Because, even in our time when people were playing that way with the bat behind the pad, everybody used to say, use the bat, just play with the bat. So actually, I prefer that. I prefer seeing that.
Yeah. It's interesting, actually, if you look at the stats on test bowlers, particularly off-spinners. I mean, as we're watching an off-spinner, John Embry compared to Graham Swan, our mate Embers, he took only 8% of his test wickets LBW. Swan was nearly 30% because of the DRS, the advent of DRS. And Embers would be rucking away, going, well, I should have had so many more test wickets. A number of people I had stone dead, given not out. Probably true.
Yeah.
And now with DRS, it would have been improved, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
So it's been you notice with spinners how many more wickets, LBW wickets, someone like Ashwin gets, especially the conventional off spinners, with the advent of DRS, which we don't have in county cricket. But I wonder if it'll happen one day. I was chatting today with the match referee earlier, Steve Davis, the great Australian umpire, lovely man, and he's there just as the match referee, and they don't have DRS. But yeah, I think that could come. The company I've been talking to,
you reckon?
They have the cameras that we've put in here for this game, the fixed cameras, which you can see on the screen. They are capable of doing a sort of primitive version of DRS, or a pretty good version of DRS. This is Tom Bailey into the attack now, facing bowling to James Vince, who defends. He has a leg slip, interestingly, which the only slip fielder is a leg slip for James Vince. I know he was out caught there in the first innings, but that was off Lyon, the spinner. But they had him. I remember they had a leg slip for James Vince to Bailey, actually, in the first innings. They obviously think that he gets across a bit and looks to tickle it down the leg side. He's going to look to bowl straight here with a 2 mid-wickets as well. And in fact he does bowl very straight, and it gets clipped straight into that one of those 2 mid-wicket players. You can hear the wind gusting around. Sorry about that if it's interfering with your listening pleasure. Probably makes you feel cold just hearing that wind, actually.
Gosh, I thought something in here would have fallen over with that.
Well, I'll tell you what did fall over. One of our cameras fell over and bit the dust, and I think we've got it back now. It's this camera here, the one on our screen that shows a low angle. We've actually managed to resurrect it, and I plugged one of those in again, and that's working too. Here comes Tom Bailey, bowls again, turned cleverly by Vince into the leg side between those 2 short mid-wicket fielders, and he gets an easy single. So Hampshire go on to 61 for 3, and we're now half an hour, just over half an hour into the first session of play today, having watched all that overnight rain and then the ground staff doing a mopping up exercise. So play delayed until 10 past 1. We've got a tea at 3:25, someone said. And how many overs? 72, is it? 72
72,
overs?
so we lost 24.
So Hampshire have to survive another 60 odd overs.
62 and a half.
62 overs, yeah. Okay.
Minimum.
Vince will be a key man in that regard.
He's in defensive mode.
He
Vince, at the moment.
is. So round the wicket now, Bailey to Nick Gubbins, and he drives up to long mid-on without any real timing. Quite a defensive field. I mean, again, he's got a leg slip and no slip. I suppose the reason why they haven't got first slip is because they don't think there's much carry. There's not much carry to the slips on this pitch. Do you reckon that's the reason?
Well, I'm just trying to think. Fletcher was out driving at Williams. That was first slip, was it?
Fletcher, yes. Well, that was a good ball, wasn't it? It bounced a bit. I think he was caught keeper, actually.
Oh, he's caught keeper, tell yes.
Bailey bowls and turned into the leg side by Gubbins, and he gets the tiniest gap between those 2 mid-wicket fielders he manages to find. So that's a single to him. 62 for 3 is the score. The field turns around. Those 2 mid-wickets that were on one side for the left-hander jog across to the other side for the right-hander. Right-handed Vince. It's a nice day. If it wasn't for the wind, actually been really nice, quite a nice day. I quite like these sort of fluffy clouds and bitter breeze, but not this howling gale. Should help Bailey's in-swing, actually. If he's looking to try and get Vince LBW here, only from the far end, if he can get one to just swing back in. He does, actually, and he looks for an LBW shout there, but I think probably that just did a bit too much. There was some enthusiasm from the keeper behind and a couple of the other fielders, but the umpire said not. Let's have a look at the replay. What do you think?
Oh.
It's
a
hard
bit difficult
to tell.
from extra cover.
Yeah, just unfortunately we lost the behind the wicket angle just briefly there, but no blame attached to anyone. I'm sure the umpire knew what he was doing.
I've still heard you shout from extra cover for an LB.
Well, sometimes actually you can tell, can't you? Because you can tell by the way the batsman hasn't moved much, and also you can sometimes tell where the ball bounced. If it ricochets off the pad and goes to the leg side, you sort of think, yeah, that's probably going down. But if it ricochets off the pad and goes back up the wicket, you sort of think, well, I bet that was pretty straight.
I agree. I mean, probably like you, I fielded at deep cover or I fielded at deep mid-wicket, and sometimes when it's hit the pad I thought that's out. You just know, don't you? You get a feeling, and if it's not, you think, well, that's still close. Here's Lyon round the wicket to Gubbins, and Gubbins is on the back foot, steers that quietly out to Bailey at wide mid-on, and there is no run. I'm interested in your thought about DRS and county cricket, because I suppose it's inevitable it will come. And
well, I sort of feel
I welcome that, actually. I think
it'd
be good, because I mean, there's a lot of cricket. We know that, as line bowl's a little fuller this time, and I do a lot of games, and so do I know you do, and whatever. But over a season, you think, oh, that's not a great decision. That's not this. That's not that. And it actually. There are times, and there's been times, I know, with James Finch, and you thought, that's a bit harsh. I remember there was one season about 2 years ago where there was about 2 or 3 decisions where you think, that's a bit harsh on him. And I think someone like him, who has a lovely shot off the back foot, through mid-on, the vacant mid-on, because Bailey is more mid-wicket than mid-on, and that's timed nicely by Gubbins. Just kept rolling. Just watch that off the back foot.
I thought that was only a single, actually.
Well, I
and of
did.
course, the long on, there's no long on.
No.
So yeah, it was a nice shot. I mean, going back to your DRS thing, there's a couple of things to say about it. I mean, one is that I feel sorry for batsmen, particularly who go into Test cricket from domestic cricket and they've never experienced DRS, and suddenly you almost have to change your technique, especially in a place like India. And the other thing is, I think umpiring has improved because of DRS. The umpiring levels, the standards in Test cricket are so good, partly because of the DRS.
Yeah. Lyon bowls, Gubbins forward, scores 66 for 3.
It enables umpires to look back at their decision making
Yeah.
and assess them really accurately, and be able to tell that one that I gave out actually was out, rather than just being unsure and basically guessing.
Yeah, no, I must admit that's a good point. That's full from Lyon, played into the ground, because I don't watch a lot of Test cricket, and sometimes I am unsure of the process that's going through. So,
I've sat in the room, so I can tell you if you want.
Well,
We
please
can go
do.
through it after this over, if you like.
Yeah, if you're, because it is a good process. I think there's been one or two criticisms about the umpire's call side of it, isn't there? I know that's been coming into question a little bit, but that's about the only thing. That's Gubbins pushing a length ball out just in front of square on the offside. Nathan Lyon got a little excited, but he needn't have. 66 for 3, Hampshire trail by 51. Gubbins has 37, Vince has 3.
I've been in the truck a lot with DRS is in operation, and basically it's 3 people. 2 guys checking the tracking of the ball and monitoring it, so independently monitoring the tracking system, the Hawkeye tracking system, and calibrating it with the actual ball, and then sort of looking at it afterwards. Each ball they do that, even not before an LBW shout, just generally they calibrate the ball every time with the track. And then there's a 3rd guy that does ultra edge. So it's a process where the ultra edge chap will be the guy first to look at whether there was an edge on the bat, and then they'll go to the 2 trackers after that.
Okay.
And that was interesting. Sorry, I missed that ball, but Tom Bailey there running into bowl tried to get that one to straighten to Vince. He glided it and it went straight to that short fine leg fielder. The leg slit, we'll see it here on the replay, and it didn't. Luckily for Vince, it fell short. But you can see why that man is there. And another guy now is coming over onto the leg side. So this is quite an unusual field. 2 men, only 2 men. This is a 7-2 leg side field. I've not seen that too often. Wow, 3 men catching positions on the leg side now. As Bailey bowls again to Vince, and this time he defends. It's got so much time, James Vince, always when he defends. So I mean, Michael Vaughan wrote a piece actually saying, why can't we have a camera in the truck showing the process to show there's no corruption or collusion or kind of malpractice? And they do now actually. If you look at the IPL, when they do a review, they'd actually show an image of those 3 men sat in the truck all doing their job. Does that answer your question, or was there sort of
I think
more you wanted to know?
No, that's fine.
Bailey bowls to Vince down the leg side, hit on the pad, no contact.
So the debate now that's sort of come about, like the umpire's call now, which is being sort of called into question. What's that all about?
I think it's because there were times, and this is a very, very intricate sort of explanation, but basically the way the stumps are calibrated, the way the umpire's call is calibrated, is using the stumps as a rectangle. We'll watch Bailey bowl this one. Vince turns it wide of that leg slit for a single down to fine leg, so that takes the score to 66 for 3. So in the computer program of the stumps are a perfect rectangle. In reality, the stumps aren't a perfect rectangle, because the bails, where the bails sit in on the stumps are slightly lower, the ends of the bails are thin. So actually the stumps on the corner, the top corners of the stumps are actually slightly lower than the middle of the stumps,
right,
for the where the bails sit. And sometimes, and this happened to, I think it was Zach Crawley in the India series, he was given out on umpire's call because the rectangle that was used in the computer program said the ball was tipping the top of the rectangle, the top corner, but the stumps, which are on the graphic on TV, don't show that bit of the corner of the stumps that the graphic demonstrates. So just to interrupt myself there, as Gubbins turns that one down too deep, square leg for a single. So basically the graphic is the real stumps, but the computer uses a rectangle, and so on the graphic it made it look as if Crawley's dismissal was actually missing, because it was right on the top corner of the stumps, and using the computer program as a rectangle, it said it was hitting the stumps, but on the graphic, because it was just the stumps, a normal kind of demonstration of the stumps, it was actually missing, and that's where the confusion arose from.
The rectangle needs to be redone.
It does, or they need to do a different graphic so that people can understand it. It needs to be a bit clearer. That's down the leg side, and a big appeal from the bowler, or some kind of appeal, but not really a very convincing one, because that was clearly missing leg. Trying to get Vince LBW here, angling the ball in from the far end, but just getting his line slightly too much to the leg side, and Vince survived. 68 for 3. I don't know, it's a complicated, it is a complicated area.
And the other thing, Ben Stokes,
it needs a bit more clarity on the screen to explain it, because even players are confused.
Yeah, it used to be quite simple, it just seems to have got a bit more. It's like everything really, everything's questioned now.
I mean, I do quite like umpires' call, because it keeps the umpires' decision making as an important part of it. And I think there would also be a lot more if you gave everybody out when the ball was just literally trimming the stumps. So as soon as the graphic shows it's trimming the stumps, you're out. There will be a lot more dismissals. And people also have made the very valid point that sometimes the ball hit the stumps and the bails don't even come off.
Right. How does Hawkeye work that out? Here comes Lyon round the wicket to start over number 13 as Gubbins is on the back foot. It's a little too short there for Latham Lyon on this slow pitch, and it's 69 for 3 with Gubbins moving on to 39, having been overnight 20 off 55. He's 39 off 96, doing a good job. Looks quite solid out there as well. Taking a lot of Nathan Lyon at the moment, but it's Vince to face the next delivery. He has got that leg slip in, which they have been attacking him in that area, spin and seam. Wait and see. Out, as Simon Hughes says, in the first innings. Caught at leg slip off Lyon. Comes in again over the wicket and bowls. Vince is forward.
I've got a bit of intel, Kev, about Lyon. Looking at the footholds close to where Vince is facing now, to his left, just outside the off stump. Now, do you know how those footholds came about?
Yes, I do, because I've heard the same explanation.
Have you?
From the man bowling now.
Have you? Interesting.
It's the same thing, isn't it? There's a reverse sweep. Vince, he's wrapped on the pad, but he's outside the line. Go on, you tell us, because we know the same info.
Yeah. So basically, it was mystified yesterday. Or the day before, the Hampshire lads were quite mystified about why Lyon was bowling round the wicket to the right-handers, and the reason was because he wasn't getting any purchase, was he? Really, he wasn't getting much response from the pitch from round the wicket.
Into Vince again. There's the reverse sweep. He does get a bat on this, but there's the man on the 45. They'll still come through for a single. Safe enough. Vince moves on to 5, 70 for 3.
So the reason why he was bowling round the wicket was to create rough at the other end. To bowl at the other end into the rough that he created. So if we look on the picture here, where Gubbins is about standing now, actually, there's just in front of him there is rough, and that was created by Lyon bowling at the far end, just outside the left-hander's leg stump. That was why Lyon was bowling that end round the wicket, to create rough for his own bowling. Because normally you hear left arm over bowlers like you bowling for off spinners, bowling at the other end. But here's Lyon creating rough for himself.
That's right. That's why he switched. That's why he switched to this end late on in the first innings, didn't he? Yeah. It's pushed into the ground and fielded by Bell.
And I reckon that wicket that he took today pitched into that rough, because it spun from outside off stump, inside edge caught short leg. That was Kyle Abbott, wasn't it?
Yeah, just stuck in the turf a bit, didn't it? But no, you're right. But he's doing it legally.
Yeah.
That's the thing. He's not doing it illegally. That's pushed out off the back foot, just in front of square on the offside end of the over. Gubbins has 39. Vince has 5, 70 for 3.
Good thinking, though, isn't it? I mean, I dare say maybe we're behind the 8 ball here, and many off spinners do it, but I guess someone like that, who's that experienced and can bowl that many overs and can bowl round the wicket, because not all off spinners are happy bowling round the wicket to a right-hander. they're kind of brought up bowling over the wicket. But it's one to think about, isn't it? If you're playing in long format cricket and there isn't anyone creating rough for you, do it for yourself.
Yeah, that's true. He was forward thinking.
Yeah.
He was thinking ahead, a bit like a snooker player, thinking 3 or 4 shots ahead.
Yeah.
He's thinking a few overs ahead.
So hard, isn't it? I think that's a great idea, a great analogy, because snooker, how do you possibly think so far ahead when you've got to try and just pot that ball, which is about 4 foot away, down the other end of the table? 70 for 3 is the score, as Bailey bowls to Vince, who drives elegantly but straight to backward point. 70 for 3. Were you a snooker lover?
No.
Oh,
Well, I'm a lover, but I watched a lot of. There was a tournament just after Christmas where Ronnie O'Sullivan won, and he seemed to be on TV a lot of the time I was around, and I thought, I'll watch 5 minutes of this, and then I'll watch in 2 hours. So I watched a lot of that, but yeah, otherwise.
Do you know, I was obsessed in the old
Was you really?
pot black era of the 70s.
Was you?
I used to love snooker. I used to love watching it on telly. Bailey bowls, driven
Sharp.
magnificently by Vince so firmly that the fielder at mid-off couldn't stop it. I think that's Mohammed Abbas, who made a rather slightly lame attempt to stop it, actually. Couldn't be Mohammed Abbas because he's from Hampshire. I don't know who that fielder is, but he was a bit slow getting down. It's a bit cold for that kind of fielding today. So 4 runs to Vince, lovely shot. No, I actually my old Ealing Cricket Club used to have a nice big snooker table in the bar, and of course it was always commandeered by all the members. But on a Saturday afternoon in the winter, as Bailey bowls, and Vince drives again, and this time the fielder doesn't stop it.
His line.
It's line, is it? Yeah. And it goes through for 4 again. Same shot, same result. 4 more runs to Vince, 78 for 3. Lovely shot, actually. Let's have a look at the replay here.
It's a better shot.
Not much movement of feet there, but lovely flow of the bat, beautiful timing. So I used to go down to the bar on a Saturday lunchtime at Ealing Cricket Club and wait till the bar had closed at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. True story. And I used to hide in the dressing rooms upstairs until the barman had gone home. Then I had 3 hours to myself playing the game, playing on a full-size table. I didn't improve. I didn't get any better, but it was good fun. Bailey bowls again to Vince, and Vince defends up to mid-on. I was so obsessed that I made my own homemade snooker table with a Subbuteo pitch, the old green football Subbuteo pitch, and my mother had these massive old-fashioned encyclopedias, and I used them as the cushions. Wow. And I used coloured golf balls and a bamboo stick as the cue. Pathetic, really, isn't it? Sad. Now, there's another one from Bailey, and again, there's a little strangled appeal from a couple of Lancashire players, but Vince got a big edge on that, and it went down to deep square leg for a single. So that concludes the over. 79 for 3. No, it doesn't. The fielders move round. One more ball in this over. 79 for 3. So, what was your junior passion then?
Well, I was going to tell us my own little snooker story. Do you remember when we were at Middlesex? There was a guy called Norman de Mosquito.
Yes.
He
was the LBC commentator, Radio London or something.
That's right.
Yeah.
They used to do the old Sunday League, didn't they? Ball by ball.
Yeah.
Every Sunday from Lords when they
the
were.
Mosquito, we called him, didn't we?
That's right. We called him Mosquito, for obvious reasons. Sadly passed away a few years back and what have you. But he used to get tickets for things, didn't he?
He did.
And mainly, as far as I can remember, was the snooker.
Bailey bowls round the wicket to Cubbins, who defends.
Yeah, and I remember him. Yeah, and I remember him saying to me, I must have been talking to him about snooker one time, and he said, "I can get you tickets." You remember the old Benson and Hedges just after Christmas at Wembley? He said, "I can get you tickets for the last session of the final if you want." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." And me and Debs went down there, and I think it was Cliff Thorburn and somebody, and there we were in the audience for the last session of the Benson Hedges snooker tournament, which in those days was a big tournament, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that was down to Norman. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, good fun.
Yeah.
Darts are sort of taken over from snooker, hasn't it? Just that sort of domestic home, the easy to show on TV sport, which only requires a couple of cameras. Although actually, I mean, Sky's coverage of darts is very impressive. It's quite challenging. I was talking to the director who directs darts sometimes, and he said you need to be good on your maths, because when they get down to 42 or something, you need to have the close up on the right bit of the board to know where the player is aiming.
Yeah.
So you've got to be quite quick with maths when you're directing darts.
That's good. Yeah.
and as a cameraman as well. There we are. Little nod to the cameraman. John Bird covering today's play. I'm sure he's done darts in the past. I'll ask him afterwards.
His line.
Yeah, sorry.
Down the wicket, and it wraps Vince on the pad as it just turns out of that rough. I know we've only got a couple more minutes or so together. I've got to mention this email, yours, from John Skews.
Not another invitation, is it?
No. Oh, not another invitation.
No. Sorry.
It's nice to be so popular, isn't it?
I didn't mean that.
Have you got fed up of being popular? Here comes Lyon. He's down the wicket. It's in the air. It's could be caught. Deep it on. Oh, it's fallen just short, and it's gone through the field at Keaton Jennings, and it's gone for 4. Well, when it left the bat, I don't think I was the only one that thought that might have been out.
Oh, God,
but somehow the ball just
shot.
bounced short of Keaton Jennings. I don't know if he meant to just chip it, and it must have just come out the bat and travelled a little further. But
it's an odd shot, isn't it, with the long on there, when you're essentially playing for a draw. I understand you don't want to just block and prop because you're going to get out, but that was an odd shot given the long on fielders is right in position for that sort of shot.
He's got away with it. Keaton Jennings, I'm sure, wasn't quite sure what to do there, whether to come in, stay back. As Lyon bowls, sweeping, almost bowled, as he just missed the leg stump. I think it came off the glove. Hasn't missed the stumps by very much. James Vince living dangerously here.
Yeah, he is.
He's on 18 of 83 for 3. Hampshire trail by 34. We've had a defensive James Vince, and then all of a sudden, the last couple of overs, we've got full throttle James Vince.
They've taken the leg slip out now and put him at silly point, so he's looking to try and score behind square on the leg side, I suppose.
Isn't he? There's ball that's slightly shorter, played into the ground. John Skews says, just to let you know that I read from Simon's book a lot of hard yakka. God, that was a few years back, wasn't it?
It was.
Constantly, and particularly enjoy his descriptions of his and your start at Middlesex. That's right. You used to phone me up that winter. You always phoned me up and said, Jamie, can you remember that story? I said, no, I can't remember. That was just before you brought out that book. That's turned away on the leg side by Vince for a single, 84 for 4. I used to look at my phone and think, oh, Yozza again, what's another story? By far the best book I've ever read on cricket,
lovely.
Says John Skews. Incidentally, what exactly is yakka?
Yes. Well, firstly, thank you very much, John, and would you like to be my agent? Secondly, yakka is actually an Aboriginal word for work. Hard yakka means hard work, and the reason it's called that was because in my first season at Middlesex, I put my coat on a hook, and a much older player, said, you'll need a lot of effing hard yakka before you can put your coat on that hook. Bugger off down the corridor. So that's why it was called that. And I mean, we haven't had time to do this today, but maybe we'll in the next game.
Yeah.
Obviously, you are a star member of that book.
Well, that's very kind of you.
And,
I know.
and you're known as Spikes, aren't you, in that book?
Yeah, somebody mentioned to me when we've been chatting on air, have you not brought up the Spike story? And I said, for obvious reasons, no.
Well,
but I have told that story.
Shall we keep the listeners
For
in
what?
suspense?
Yes, we will, because you're back for next game, which is great news.
Whenever. Yeah.
Lions round the wicket again. Gubbins plays that into the ground. He's playing quite nicely. I don't want to tempt fate, but he's playing Lion nicely. End of the over, 84 for 3. Yozza, that's the end of us.
Okay.
For now.
Lovely.
And Simon Hughes, you back in the last session, aren't you? Yeah, he's good. Yeah, he's still here. We can't get rid of him. He's still here. We've tried. It's going to be Scott Reed to take you through the next half an hour, and he'll be alongside Hampshire's honorary archivist, Dave Allen.
Cheers, guys. Yeah, so all in all, a pretty good hour, that, isn't it, for Hampshire? He lost one wicket, which is the night watchman, Kyle Abbott. Vince calmly's got to 19. He's been pretty cautious in that approach, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's what the situation requires. 19 off 35 for Vince, and then Nick Gubbins has batted nicely. He's up to 39, so a pretty solid first hour that for Hampshire. Lancashire removing the night watchman, potentially with a chance to try and go again and see if they can take a couple of quick wickets, but Vince has been pretty solid in defence alongside Gubbins. You've got Tom Bailey running in from the pavilion end. That's nudged away off his hip. It beats a tumbling Keaton Jennings at square leg. And Vince will hurry back for 2. That's good running as well. Squeezing a second out there is James Vince. He's got to 21 not out. It's now 86 for 3. Deficit of 31. Good afternoon, Dave Allen.
Hiya, Scott.
How are you doing in this blustery wind?
Yeah. Sadly, I've had to take off my flat hat, Chuck. I can't get it on over my headphones. But I'm a bit chilly, to be honest. Yeah. I think the wind is all right, but it's just that the temperature has come down so much in the 3 days, hasn't it? You know, so it's blowing cold air.
Yeah, we've gone from kind of
yeah.
18, 19 degrees to something not quite that. There's Bailey into Vince, who plays forward in defence, and there is no run. But it's been a pretty good hour, that, I think, hasn't it, for Hampshire?
Yeah. There was just that one odd shot in the last over when Vince almost looked like he was going to hold out, and I couldn't work that out. But Kevin thought perhaps he was trying to chip it and just hit it a bit too hard. But I think it has been, and it's looking pretty tough for Lancashire now to work 7. You know, given that Fuller's coming in at 10, it's a long batting lineup.
Bailey to Vince. That's turned to the leg side, which is well guarded. There's 4 fielders, in fact, close in on the leg side, and there's a deep square leg and a fine leg and a mid-on. So there's plenty of leg side fielders there, and Vince has managed to find a gap between them all. He moves to 22 not out, and it's now 87 for 3.
The odd thing is, of course, that his reputation for getting out is nicking off on the offsides. It's, you know, second slip gully, isn't it? But they're not attacking that at all. They've got this other project, and he seems to be playing very confidently, even though there are all those fielders there. So, yeah, it's fascinating.
87 for 3, trailed by 30. Gubbins waits as Bailey's in, and that's just tickled away down towards fine leg, where Balderson comes up to field. Gubbins moves on to 40, and slowly just edging this deficit down, and won't be too far away before Hampshire push themselves in front. Now 29 the difference.
Yeah.
An hour ago it was 78 when we started play. Gubbins on to 40. So it brings Vince back on strike. For the viewers on the live stream, you can see these fielders here on the leg side. There's 4 catching fielders there in like a little semicircle.
Yeah.
And then there's a deep square leg beyond them, and also a mid-on and a fine leg. Bailey to Vince. He goes that little clip away, so he could stop. That's Tom Bruce, who's behind square on the leg side there, and there's no run. It's a quirky field, isn't it, to Vince?
It is, and in the sense of he's not particularly playing defensively. You know, he's actually quite willing to put back to ball there. I mean, if that had evaded the fielder, it would have probably been 2, could have been 4. So it's playing very confidently, and he's obviously, I'm quite sure he has worked out exactly what the strategy is. Although interestingly, Bailey's now going over the wicket and is pushing the deep point way back towards the boundary.
Final ball of the over. Vince just calmly plays it back down the pitch for no run. So that's 37 overs gone of the Hampshire second innings. Minimum 56 left today. Deficit of 29 at 88 for 3. Very much worth bringing some sad news, I'm afraid, from Kent Cricket Club, who have announced in the last 10 or 15 minutes that one of their club icons, the death of Derek Underwood, who's died at the age of 78.
I think he'd been a bit poorly for a little while, but icon is not too strong a word for him. He was a quite wonderful bowler, particularly I think not exclusively by any means, but particularly in the days of uncovered pitches. But I did it did when you told me just before we came on air, it just triggered a memory of a game, and a game in which he bowled quite remarkably against Hampshire, and actually it was not on an uncovered pitch, so I think it was a bit damp, but it wasn't uncovered.
Here's Nathan Lyon from around the wicket, bowling to Gubbins. He leaves it through to the keeper, no run.
And I'll probably not get through a lot of it in Lions over, but just in case people do remember, it was down at Bournemouth in late August 1984, and I'll tell you some stories about it at the end of the over.
Here comes Lyon, 3 around the bat, bowls again. That's left by Gubbins, taken by Hurst, and there's no run. There's a slip. It's a silly point. There's a short mid-off as well. They're all crouching down there. There's Lyon in, bowling. This time Gubbins has to play as it comes in towards him, and he works it around the corner. It's picked up by Bailey at backward square leg, and there's no run. There's 3 fielders close in, and then fielders pushed out towards the boundary. That third man at deep point, Jennings, who's kind of halfway back towards the long off boundary, likewise Bannon at mid on. Ken Gubbins leaves. He was a little tempted, I think, into playing. He maybe just slightly caught him between two minds there.
Yeah, it was a bit inelegant in the end, wasn't it?
Managed to get everything out the way, and he did get through to the keeper, but...
And now what? Oh, this is almost like a change of field when you've got a tail ender in, because he's brought everybody in to save one.
There's Lyon to Gubbins off the back foot, trying to force the ball away. And there's no run.
It's interesting, isn't it? For the last two balls, he just wants to keep Gubbins at that end. He's also hurrying up. I don't know whether the over rate is slightly dodgy. I can't see.
Lyon to Gubbins, forward in defence, no run, end of the over, 88 for 3, deficit of 29.
If I go through that game just as a kind of tribute to Derek Underwood, really, Kent batted first at Bournemouth and they were all out for 147. And Cardick and Connor took 7 for 37. Hampshire batted 114 all out, and one of the fascinating things is that Underwood opened the bowling with Terry Alderman. He bowled 27 overs, 13 maidens, 4 for 34, which was pretty good. Kent scheduled again, so this was, as I say, it was a covered pitch, but it was in the days when wickets fell really quickly. And again, Kent 189, so... Hampshire second innings, 178 all out. Underwood again opened the bowling, 42 overs, 15 maidens, 8 for 87. So not bad. And there's a little connection with this game, which is that actually it was the debut match for Tony Middleton, whose son Fletcher is playing in the current game. But that's just one example of Underwood's genius, really. I mean, at county level particularly, but also at Test level. There was that famous game in 1968 when the entire crowd came on at the Oval to mop up the ground, and he came on and bowled out the Australians. And I think that's probably the seminal moment in Underwood's career. But he was a remarkable bowler because he was caught slow left arm, but of course he was coming in off about 10 yards. You know, he wasn't classically slow left arm at all. He was almost medium pace, cutting the ball as much as spinning it. But wonderful bowler to watch. Yeah. So very sad to hear that news.
There's a lovely tribute on the Kent website as well, which you can read if you like, about his fantastic contributions to cricket in Kent. Change of bowling. It's Jack Blatherwick replacing Tom Bailey. First delivery speared away down the leg side, taken by the keeper Matty Hurst. There's some fantastic stats on this tribute, Dave, on the Kent website. I mean, you've produced a wonderful example there in the fixture between Kent and Hampshire from the 1980s. He captured his 1,000th first-class wicket at the age of just 25.
Goodness me.
Took 100 wickets in a season 10 times.
Yeah. I mean, nobody gets 1,000 first-class wickets in a career now, do they? I'm not sure. I can't remember if maybe Murtagh did at Middle. Did he get, or was that 1,000 in all cricket? I can't remember, but nobody does these days, really.
Blatherwick balls, and Vince off the back foot guides the ball away through the offside. It's in front of square, and Balderson's behind square on the offside, so got plenty of ground to make up, and picks it up cleanly and sends in towards the bowler's end. Vince has come back for 2. He moves on to 24 now, and Hampshire in 90 for 3.
I wonder what he'd have made of the Kookaburra. I don't really know a lot about the balls that they used back then. Like Kevin would know, of course. We could ask him later. But I unearthed one pretty odd stat just before, when you were on last time, didn't I? I mean, it's just something that's come up, which is the Northants Middlesex game that's been rained off. It's finished.
Yeah.
And only 8 wickets fell in that game.
Here's Blatherwick to Vince, that's left and through to Hurst, and there's no run.
Yeah, only 8 wickets fell in that game. Middlesex, Northants 552 for 6, Middlesex one more, 553 for 2. And it works out at an average of 138.12 runs for every wicket that fell, which sounds like a lot in itself, because if you think about that, if you're going to take 10 wickets at that rate, you're going to make a score of 1,380. It's actually the 4th highest runs per wicket average ever in the county championship match.
It's Jack Blatherwick to Vince, getting forward, looking to jab the ball away into the offside. It deflects up to mid-on for no run.
When you think that the Middlesex bowlers last week were bowling a triple century, they must be fed up, the Middlesex bowler. I don't know who the bowling coach is there now, but he's got some work to do. And the batters are doing fine for him. They're getting lots of runs, but crikey, whether people would claim that was a kookaburra or not, I'm not sure, because there are plenty of games where actually wickets are falling quite quickly in with a kookaburra. But Middlesex games, cool.
Blatherwick to Vince, it's short and pulled in front of square on the leg side. Vince moves on to 25, 91 for 3.
The field is more conventional now, isn't it, with that change of bowling? It's still quite leg side, but there were 4. It was a 4-5 field as opposed to 7-2 field.
Yeah, they conjured up this plan to Vince, especially off Bailey's bowling. And they had a leg side field, quite a heavy leg side field when Vince was facing line as well. But say it's a little bit more conventional with Blatherwick back into attack, who didn't bowl much in the first innings. Jack Blatherwick is just a wee bit expensive and just struggling a little bit for kind of early season form, but he's given a chance here.
I've got a memory of you and I being on commentary maybe last year or the year before, and me being very impressed by him, having not seen him before.
He comes around the wicket to Gubbins. Oh, it's a short ball, which actually Gubbins ducks into. Hits him on his shoulder somewhere.
Will there be a... Oh no, okay, I was just wondering if there was now going to be a stoppage for a check of the helmet, but I don't think it hit me there.
Unless it deflected up and hit him on the... No, it's just right onto the shoulder there.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but I've just got this, and he was not somebody I knew anything about really, and I just got a feeling he had a very good game here. Maybe I can't remember last year. I'm not sure.
Lancashire were last here 2 seasons ago.
Okay, it might have been then.
It could have been then, yeah.
I'll try and I'll look it up later on and see if I'm remembering correctly.
We'll see Lyon to continue from the hotel end to his 16th over.
Of course, last year we only played you once, and it was Southport.
That's right.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Did you get to Southport?
No, I didn't.
Because you were at Liverpool.
Liverpool. Yeah, well, I was at Liverpool.
Yeah.
That frustrating day.
It's Lyon in and bowling to Vince, who leaves it through to the keeper, no run.
I'd been really busy on the first 2 days in Portsmouth, so I actually drove up to Liverpool, saw the whole day and drove back that night. It was just a bit of an effort really, but and I wasn't quite as cheery as I might have been.
Could well imagine, yeah. Lyon in. Vince goes back and defends it to the onside. There's no run. You drove all the way up to Liverpool just for the glory, didn't you?
I did.
To be there for the moment.
Just to bask in the moment. Yeah.
And then Dame Villash ruined it for you.
I was expecting Kevin to come and do an interview with me as one of the few people on the ground who'd seen us win it in '61.
Here comes Lyon in to Vince, who lunges forward and defends, and there's no run.
Yeah, I've been to Liverpool a couple of times, and I was remembering actually the first time I went was extraordinary. I went for about 4 days to Liverpool to talk at a conference about popular music, and I did all the Beatles museums and everything, but I also got a day at the cricket.
Lyon to Vince, goes back, works it off his pads, behind square on the leg side, through he goes for a single, moves on to 26, not out, now it's 92 for 3.
But it wasn't any warmer that day than this, I can remember. It was a chilly old day, and I'd take my wife up to the conference, and we went to all the pop things in Liverpool and so on, which was fun, and we were just wandering around the ground in not dressed up at all, and one of the Lancashire committee guys spotted us, and it was very cold, and took us in the tent and sat down for committee lunch, and they were all sat there in their posh ties and jackets, and I'm not, but they didn't seem to mind. It was very nice of them.
It's Lyon to Gubbins, forward and defends, just dabs it away into the onside for no run.
I don't know whether people would know, but in the days when you were on the committee, you could book in to the away game, and the home committee would look after you and so on. But it was always the done thing that you dressed proper. You put your tie on and your jacket on and so on. And I hadn't done any of that. So.
Lyon to Gubbins again. He's defending, no run. End of the over. 92 for 3, a deficit of 25.
And they were often great experiences in those days. I mean, I'm going back 20 years or more. Not to that Liverpool game, but generally when I was on the committee, it was more like 25. And in those days, there were a lot of former cricketers who were on committees, really quite major. So I can remember coming to Old Trafford as a committee man from Hampshire, and probably in the days when Jack Milne was playing, I think, and Brian Statham was the president. And so he was at the lunch, and usually what they would do is actually, if you were the visiting committee guy, they would sit you with somebody prestigious. So I've had lunch with the Bedsers, and I've had lunch with Colin Cowdery, because they look after you like that, and they're just wonderful experiences, because you chuck a couple of questions in, and then you just sit there and listen to them for an hour while they tell you great stories.
It's like a free private show, then, isn't it?
Fantastic, really, yeah. Reverend David Shepherd, I can remember at Sussex, and Les Jackson at Derbyshire. Wonderful experiences.
Blatherwick to Vince. He just drops it away into the offside and jogs through for a single. Vince now moves on to 27 not out. The score moves on to 93 for 3. The deficit's down to 24.
You just get the feeling, looking out there now, that they had these plans with Lyon and with Bailey and the fields and all the rest of it, but now it's just a bit, everything's just kind of backed off a little, and the field is not particularly attacking, and it's almost like now they're waiting for about to make an error and then maybe try and get back in again. And I don't know, that might not be quite right. But
Jack Blatherwick in bowls. Gubbins works it to mid-wicket, off his toes. It'll clip away to Bohannon, who fields, and there's no run. There's been a few batters who have probably been guilty of slightly giving things away, but I'm not so sure that Gubbins and Vince are in that mindset at the minute.
And they're very experienced, aren't they? And Dawson to come for sure. I mean, Prest because he's young and new, even though he played very well in the first innings, he could be vulnerable to some kind of clever piece of bowling by Lyon, but it's going to be hard work for them now.
Blatherwick bowls to Gubbins, who plays forward and defends, and there's no run.
I mean, if you include the slip, we've got a circle of 5 men on the offside who are, the slip is in a catching position, but you've got 4 men at least, a deep gully, a deep point, almost an extra cover really in the mid-off, who are just saving one. And then leg side much the same, square leg, mid-wicket, mid-on, saving one. So just trying to persuade Gubbins or Vince to do something daft.
Blatherwick sets off in the sunshine, bowls to Gubbins. It's pushed away into the offside, and there is no run. Fielded by Tom Bailey, one of 4 fielders in the ring on the offside there. There's a slip, as Dave mentioned, and the Luke Wells, who's at backward point. George Bell's at point. Bailey's extra cover. Will Williams at mid-off. Nathan Lyon with his arms folded at mid-on. Josh Bohannon with his hands in his pockets at mid-wicket.
And I don't blame him for that either.
No, me neither.
It's just calmed down slightly at the minute.
Blatherwick in again. It's just short. It's pulled. It's a good stop by Jennings, who stood right by the square leg umpire and just has to move maybe 4 or 5 paces to his right. Stops it low down to his right. The Lancashire skipper. And takes his position right alongside the umpire.
So if it's a draw, you guys get 13 points. Is that right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and we get 12. So that seems somewhat unfair in the sense that you're dominating the game. We end up with 1 more point, but there we are. That happens quite a lot, I guess.
Oh, we're looking elsewhere in Division 1.
Yeah, I was just wondering. With Essex and Surrey in particular, interesting.
Well, yeah, there's Blatherwick in and bowling to Gubbins. Oh, that's nicely played. He's run that away through backward point. Barely any room to try and manoeuvre the ball into. Playing it with his hands tucked into his body. Fiddles it away through backward point for 4. Good shot.
Yeah.
Takes the score to 97. It's the end of the over. Deficit down to 20. Well, the games that you mentioned there, Dave, so Essex, Kent and Surrey against Somerset, both are in play. And Essex have picked up 2 early wickets, so they've declared a 257 for 4.
Yep.
Kent a 21 for 2.
Okay.
Require 354 to win, and Essex needing 8 more wickets for victory at Chelmsford, and Somerset are 7 down now. They lead Surrey by 135 runs with 3 wickets remaining.
You'd fancy Somerset would get away with a draw on that unless something particularly extraordinary happens. But you did say earlier, I think probably off air, but you said Kent can be a bit unpredictable sometimes, and just 2 early wickets that could.
Yeah.
Essex at Chelmsford, you think?
Here's Lyon in, and Vince goes back, and that's got Lancashire a little excited.
Yeah. Didn't bounce a lot, did it? And he was way back on his stumps there.
Is that back on the replay for the live stream viewers? No, it didn't get up. Just a little bit of turn back into him. Stayed a little low. Here's Lyon over the wicket to Vince. Snapped away to the onside. There's no run.
Probably put the hex on him, but I've got to say in both innings Vince has looked like a man who's been batting a lot through the winter, hasn't come back looking for form. He's come back with form. He didn't play a lot in the pre-season friendlies because I'm sure he just felt he didn't need to.
Balls to Vince. Lyon gets forward and defends, no run.
And if he's out for 27 now, my apologies to all the Hampshire fans.
He's caught a leg slip in the first innings off the bowling of Nathan Lyon for 56. Here comes Lyon again, that right arm swinging back and forth, in and bowls, and Vince forward in defence.
There was a slightly odd thing about that first innings of his, because he batted really beautifully until lunch, and he didn't quite get going after lunch, and it was only 10 minutes, quarter of an hour maybe, and he just flicked that one round the corner.
Short leg, silly point, slip, all around the bat for Lyon, who bowls, and Vince defends again. Just a little hurried up as he clips the ball away to the leg side. That's Lancashire's vice-captain Josh Bohannon who fields. Loops the ball back to the Australian spinner Nathan Lyon, who sets in again to complete his 17th over of the innings. Bowling to Vince. And, Vince going shoving across his stumps and the ball into the gloves of Matty Hurst.
Just seemed to have a bit of drift there with that particular ball in particular, just drifting away.
Well, it was there's a maiden over that for Nathan Lyon as well. Kevin spoke to Tom Prest after the first day and asked him what it was like to face Lyon and what was the challenges on the pitch that wasn't really spinning for him. And I think he mentioned that dip and that drift that Lyon got as being a real threat. Yeah, something that was a challenge for him. He batted beautifully against Lyon. Tom Prest.
Yeah, it would have done him a lot of good, because he got a good 100 against Essex last year, and he's obviously very promising. He's a captain England under-19 with players in that side that have gone further than him so far. Got a good 100 against Essex last year, but almost nothing else in first-class cricket. So he's a big hope, without any question, really. What about Jimmy Anderson? You going to see him?
I think so.
In the Championship.
I think so. Well, it's about kind of building him up ready for the first Test match, which is due to start in July. So I don't think we'll be seeing him much before June. There's a couple of Championship matches in June, and there's one at the end of May. So I think that's when we're likely to see Jimmy involved. Blatherwick continuing from the pavilion end, bowling to Gubbins. That's nudged away off his hip down to fine leg for a single.
In the meantime, you and he will be going to watch Burnley FC together.
Quite possibly, yeah. I think hopes of survival in the Premier League this season are all but done.
Yeah.
Not to be. We'll be playing your lot next season in the Championship.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. In case you're wondering who that is, we're not suggesting Southampton are staying down. My lot of Portsmouth. Might be playing Southampton as well.
Quite possibly, yeah. That'd be a bit tasty, wouldn't it? There's Blatherwick in over the wicket to Vince. He's going to get a single down to fine leg. Just dropped a little short again, did Blatherwick, and Vince just helps it down towards Luke Wells at the fine leg boundary. Vince moves on to 28. It's a 50 partnership too.
Luke Wells. Is it time to see Luke Wells?
I think we'll see some of him. Yeah, well, he's just limbering up a little bit now, isn't he?
Oh.
He's certain to have a role to play.
He is, yeah. I mean, you'd think we did it with Gubbins, and it didn't work yesterday. But I just think if you've got somebody who can bowl a bit of wrist spin, and it's hard work like this on this pitch, and perhaps because of the ball as well. And I think, why not just have a look? How many overs are left? My eyesight is getting worse and worse.
It'll be 50 after this one.
Is it 50? Yeah. Right. And yeah, so Hampshire are going to 45 overs. They'll be level.
Blatherwick to Gubbins. He's worked away behind square on the leg side. Through he goes for one. Moves on to 46, not out, and that does bring up the 100.
Yeah.
Does, yeah, 100 on the board now for Hampshire in their second innings, so just 17 behind. These two have done really well.
There's even some applause
There's a little ripple of applause
from the 33 people on the ground. Actually, I think there are a few at the northern end. There's usually a northern end support, which just down below us, but I can't quite see through that.
You need to find the sunshine, wouldn't you, today?
Cool, wouldn't you just?
Blatherwick to Vince. It's defended to mid-on, and there's no run.
I suspect there's quite a lot of people behind the glass over there as well, because both on the first floor, which is the Shackleton, another Burnley man, of course, Derek Shackleton. Oh no, he's not Burnley. What am I talking about, Burnley? I know why I'm talking about Burnley. He played in goal for Burnley reserves in the 1940s.
How do you know that?
Oh, I know everything about those kinds of things. They're just a lot
Reserves
sensible
in the 1940s.
Yeah, sensible and important things I don't know anything about. But he was because he was playing for Todmorden. He was a Todmorden lad, but he was actually a Yorkshire Todmorden lad. You know, that's split.
Yeah, it's the borderline, isn't it?
Yeah.
Blatherwick to Vince. Just dropped it away into the offside, up onto his toes, and thinks about taking one, but the Lancashire captain is quickly to that, and there is no run.
But yeah, he was and the most extraordinary thing about Derek Shackleton, and you can believe it as a bowler, but as a goalkeeper, that apparently through his entire life he was blind in one eye, and he was a goalkeeper for Burnley reserves. I think it was during the war, so in those days league sides were whoever you could get, really, whoever won abroad.
Blatherwick to Vince. That's a good stop at short fine leg by Josh Bohannon. Tried to ease it away off the hip down towards fine leg, and then saving some runs there for Lancashire.
But he would have played one of the Lancashire leagues for Todmorden. I've seen clippings and things about him and averages, end of season averages and so on. It didn't come to us until he was about 23, I think. And, we spotted him up there. We picked up 3 men from Todmorden, and he was the only one who really made the grade. But
Jack Blatherwick in to Vince. Back's running short to Vince this time. Ducks underneath it, through to the keeper. The wind picks up. Josh Bohannon loses his cap as the wind rattles round the Utilita Bowl. It's the end of the over. It's 102 for 3. Vince has 28. Gubbins has 46. The deficit now is 15. So it's a pretty solid effort, this, by Nick Gubbins and James Vince. They've just reached a half-century partnership. They brought 3 figures up on the board. Deficit's down to 15. It's been a very calm approach by the 2 really experienced players in this Hampshire middle order.
Yeah, I was saying, I think, with about 45 overs to go, Hampshire will probably be level, and then you think they've only got I suppose they've got to bat 25 plus. I mean, if Lancashire needed 80 to win off 10, they'd go for it without any question. But yeah, I think very soon now that equation of the deficit and overs left is going to be absolutely key.
We are going to see some Luke Wells, Dave.
Well, that'll be interesting. I'm sure he's capable. I don't know how many wickets he picks up in a season now, but it must be a few every now and then.
He chips in quite a bit, yeah. I mean, he bowls a lot in T20 cricket now for Lancashire. He'll probably bowl up, he's 4 overs. He's a big part of their attacking T20 cricket, and can increasingly more with the red ball as well.
I always thought when he left Sussex that he was a good candidate to come here, really, because it's down the coast. But
he's in and bowling, having replaced Nathan Lyon from the hotel end to Gubbins. It's 4 away from a 50 to match his efforts in the first innings, made exactly 50. Gubbins' first time round. Looking for back-to-back half centuries to start the season.
He was very close to 1,000 runs last year, Nick Gubbins.
There's Wells to Gubbins, goes back and defends, no run.
I can't quite remember, but I just think the last 2 or 3 innings he suddenly didn't get any runs, and he was like 950 or something, and he was going to get it, and then he just kept getting out cheaply just towards the end. But he was a very valuable part of the championship side.
Waits for Wells, who's in bowling a full ball, just dabbed out into the onside, and there is no run. Dave Allen will leave us. He'll be back a little later. He's going to put his flat cap on, I think, and get himself warm again. I don't blame him. Wells started off, and I think the breeze blew him off track, so he's turned and gone back towards his mark. Luke Wells, 102 for 3, 15 behind. Gubbins, 46 not out. There's Wells from around the wicket. Forward goes Gubbins. It's Hurst, the keeper, that bounces from behind the stumps to field and scoops up the ball. Hands it back to Luke Wells. Tall leg spinner. Blow a bit of warm air into his right hand. Get those fingers warm as he grips the ball again. Short this time to Gubbins off the back foot. Works it out towards mid-wicket where Bailey fields. I was watching on the live stream. You can see from Bailey's trousers and his shirt there the strength of the wind. When it whips up around the ground, it's pretty torrid. It's not easy. Not particularly pleasant conditions because of that wind for the players today. Oh, that's a good ball by Wells. That beats Gubbins, who's a little uncertain to go forward or go back, and gets a little caught between the two. It's a maiden over to begin with from Luke Wells, and half a chance at the end of it too. Just a little trouble there for Nick Gubbins, who in the end negotiates it and remains unbeaten on 46. It's 102 for 3, trail by 15. Kevin James is back.
They're settling a few nerves, aren't they, Gubbins and Vince, around the ground, and I guess in the changing rooms as well. They've been together now they came together at 1:20, so about an hour and 25 minutes they've been batting together. 49 for 3 when Kyle Abbott was out, caught it short leg off line after just 10 minutes of play. They've put on 53, unbroken for the 4th wicket. A little bit about the runs, but it's about batting time. But when you look at the overs remaining, 49, that is still a quite considerable sum. A lot of cricket in 49 overs. I think a lot of people watching will hope that there won't be much past 10 to 5 when they can shake hands. I think that's what Hampshire will be aiming for. Lancashire will be hoping to avoid that scenario. But it's looking increasingly likely. Well, these two are at the crease. There is a very deep field on the leg side, very much an in-out field as Blatherwick bowls, and it's down the leg side, short. So there is a deep mid-wicket, deep square leg, deep man behind square on the leg side, and a deep fine leg. Those are the 4 on the leg side, but complementing that is a man on the drive at mid-wicket, and I suppose just about a man on the drive at square, which would probably, I wouldn't say it was quite orthodox square leg, but maybe a couple of paces in from that. Here's Blatherwick from the pavilion end, short down the leg side. And it's quite happy to watch that one go by. That's not far off being a wide, I shouldn't think, actually. But I don't think we want another ball. Lancashire might, but I don't think Hampshire do.
No.
They'll be quite happy.
Probably.
I don't see anybody saying, "Oh, got to be a wide umpire from Hampshire." Field's changing again. Going to have a short leg in now.
Oh yeah.
Going to have another man on the leg side. We have a 7-2 field on the leg side. I think we had one earlier that when Simon Hughes was on and pointed it out. Here we are for maybe just the second time. It's leg side heavy. Make sure the ground doesn't tilt. Here comes Blatherwick. Short again, a little closer to Vince this time, but quite easily ducks underneath. There's just not enough pace in the pitch, and with a Kookaburra ball that's into his 45th over, And to be fair to Blatherwick, he's not the quickest. It takes a lot of effort, A, to get the ball up around sort of shoulder height, but also to get it through at any reasonable rate of knots to cause any problems. Most of the Lancashire fielders have got hands in their pockets they'll have hand warmers in there.
You could do with some of them.
Yes, I've got my hands in my pockets, but I haven't got any hand warmers, unfortunately. Down the leg side, Fuller. Vince went for a little nibble, missed, taken by Hurst.
Well, I think it was inevitable that we'd get to this point where things like this would happen, where you'd see something like this, where you're setting a field to try and do something that you wouldn't normally see, in the 45th over with Hampshire 3 down and still trailing. But they're just going to find a way, haven't they? Try to find a way of doing something a bit different that might just produce a wicket.
Still some Lancashire fans here. High up in the Shane Warne stand, if you're watching the live picture feed, with their flag behind them, Northwich, I think it's it. Not that I can see that from here, I think I had a pair of binoculars on that earlier. Blatherwick's round the wicket to Vince. Vince is on the back foot, steers that back to the bowler. I noticed in the previous delivery, Blatherwick was... the umpire looked at Blatherwick's follow-through. I suppose you would do at this stage, wouldn't you, with Nathan Lyon lurking, and you don't want the bowlers running on the pitch now. Shouldn't think he did it intentionally, but if he did, the umpire's just letting him know that he is aware. Maybe one of the reasons he's come round the wicket.
It's probably a better angle though, isn't it, that? If you're going to bowl that short ball to this leg side field.
Yeah, agreed. Yep. Just to repeat, 7-2. The 2 men on the offside are at third, aiming the covers. Here's Blatherwick bowls. Just short of a length really. Vincent's on his toes, pushes that out on the leg side, and that's the end of the over. It's a maiden over. The young Blatherwick there. 4 overs, 1 maiden, none for 13, and it's the total is 102 for 3. The wicket takers, 2 for Williams yesterday, 1 for Lyon today. Hampshire 3 down and have 48 overs minimum to negotiate. I think we hope. I think as much because of these conditions as much as anything. Maybe you don't, Scott, but I do. Hope that the players shake hands. 10 to 5, isn't it? You can do that.
I think so. Used to see Glenn Chappell do that quite a lot. Back end of the innings when the ball was soft and not doing much, he'd heavy leg side field, bowl round the wicket, bowl short leg in place. He was so good at doing that. Every ball was right on the batsman, right in the rib cage. And obviously Chappie wasn't quick, was he? But he was an express pace, was he? But he was so accurate at that. He used to get wickets for Lancashire right at the end of a game when it wasn't doing much, the no ball. There's Wells to Gubbins forward in defence, and there's no run. I think of Chappie and his skill with a new ball and what he could do. And actually, with an old ball, he was just as effective running in and trying to bounce the batter out. Never very subtle, is it? But it can be quite effective.
Oh yeah, if you've got the right field for it, yeah, making the batters think about whether to play, not to play.
Wells to Gubbins. That's off the back foot, cracked away through the offside for a single. It's 103 for 3.
Yeah, I remember Glenn Chappell when he sort of came onto the scene with Lancashire, and I remember thinking he was probably the most natural bowler that I faced that could bowl in swing and away swing. You know, just natural doing it. Amazing how easy he did it, actually. You know, I'm sure it was said many times up your way, but you know, another half a yard of pace, he would have played for England, wouldn't he? Quite on a regular basis. I don't think he played at all, did he, from memory?
No, I think he was in the ODI squad, wasn't he?
He was probably just a half a yard short of being, you know, a really seriously top class bowler, because he could swing it both ways, no doubt about it. Very natural with it.
Wells to Vince. It's a gentle single, really, just off his back foot, guided away to the leg side. Score moves on to 104 for 3, so they're almost level. He's 13 behind. Vince is 29 not out from 68 balls faced. Gubbins is 3 away from a second 50 in the match. There's Luke Wells for Lancashire, looping it outside the off stump, and Gubbins stretching forward and defending out towards cover point where Tom Bruce fields, and there is no run. Two balls left of Another Luke Wells over, his third in this little spell. A bit quicker this time, you could hear him yelp a little as he released the ball, fizzed it in full to Gubbins, who brings his bat down and defends, and there's no run.
Yeah, there's not much turn for him either, is there? It's not been turn for anybody.
No.
Not even Nathan Lyon, even when he's bowling into the rough, it doesn't look particularly dangerous, does it?
He's having a bit of a breather at the minute, isn't he, Nathan Lyons?
Yeah.
Change of line for Wells, going to put him over the wicket instead. As Gubbins looks to sweep. Deflects back down the pitch. It's the end of another over. It's 104 for 3.
Just looking over at Dave, I don't think I've seen him with so much clothes on.
A bit chilly.
Flat cap.
Oh, I think if you're watching on the live stream, you might get a view of Dave in a minute. Actually, he's at the back of the box. There he is, huddled onto his cup of coffee with his flat cap on.
There he is now. He looks like a true northerner.
He does.
Doesn't he?
Welcome.
He's an honorary northerner this afternoon. With his flat cap. Flat cap and sunglasses. Maybe the sunglasses is overdoing
it's
it.
taking the edge off that, hasn't it?
Yeah. He's a little further back than bowling his off spin, so I think we're going to get his usual helping of seam. But there's not been a lot there. We've said that a few times over the 4 days, but it's not even on the last day of this game is there much there for the seamers. You've just got to prod away and come up with a plan. Saw that with Blatherwick, didn't we? A few short ones, had the leg side field. It's a plan. And, there's nothing worse than having a plan that doesn't work is not having a plan at all. So it's, as has often been said, really, that the Kookaburra ball is making players and bowlers think, but it's still hard work for them, isn't it? Is Bailey then from the pavilion end, right arm? Quite in catching positions, but a little deeper than that, but they were quite close together, but he's managed to bisect them, or thread one through. He moves on to 30, 105 for 3, Hampshire trail by 12.
Kent are now 3 down, 37 for 3. So Essex are 7 wickets away from beating Kent. Kent require 340 runs to win, 2 wickets for Porter, and now Simon Harbour has his first wicket. Daniel Bell-Drummond, LBW, for 18. The top 3 are gone. Mayeye, Compton and Bell-Drummond all out for Kent.
Compton got 100 in the first innings, didn't he? On the back foot, Gubbins steers that up to mid-off.
He's gone to off-spin now, hasn't he, Bailey?
Who has?
Bailey.
Oh, he has, yeah. Well, so the first one was a seam,
Yeah.
and the second one, sorry, do you know what, until you said that, I hadn't noticed. Yeah, he's around the wicket as we saw him last night. Switch to off-spin. To Gubbins. I suppose the left-hander he'll bowl off-spin and the right-hander he'll bowl seamers, yeah. It's turned away down the leg side by Gubbins, so will he walk back a bit further away?
I think he will, yeah.
Sure he will, yeah.
Seen him do this a little bit last season as well.
Yeah. Gubbins moves on to 48 now, off 130. Half century in the first innings for Gubbins.
Somerset are still 7 down, and they lead Surrey by 156 runs in the match at the Oval.
What's looking the most likely result, do you think, out of Division 1, Scott? Here's Bailey then, he's bowling some seam to Vince. It's a length ball, Vince is comfortably in behind that.
Possibly the game at Chelmsford. There's still 7 wickets, but you know what it's like down there with when they start to get on a bit of a roll, and Critchley and Harmer are in tandem. If there's no rain at Edgbaston, you could see Durham losing to Warwickshire. They're still behind and 4 wickets down. Matty Potts is 90 not out.
I suppose if they're at the same stage over-wise, there's still quite a bit of cricket left in all those, isn't there? It's turned away to deepish leg gully by Vince, fielded by Jennings.
If Essex were to find a way to beat Kent, then it'd be a pretty good start, wouldn't it? 2 wins from 2.
Would, with the weather we've had.
Exactly, yeah.
And the pitches. But it is a flat one at Chelmsford by the looks of it, up until now.
Nottinghamshire Worcestershire, they've called that a draw at Trent Bridge.
Did they not get on at all?
Must not have done.
It did sound horrendous weather up there. Here's Bailey on the line of middle and leg, and that's turned away past to diving Keaton Jennings at leg gully. Down to fine leg. Vince moves on to 31. Hampshire 107 for 3 in their second innings, trail now by 10.
Somerset have still got Lewis Gregory batting, and Craig Overton's alongside him. Lead is 160, and Surrey still need to find 3 wickets. There's no play at Edgbaston between Warwickshire and Durham. There's rain around. I mentioned that Potts is 90 not out for Durham in that game.
Is he a batter as well?
He is now. Matthew Potts 90 not out. Did he pick up some wickets? Not many did in that first innings. No. But they've been delayed due to rain at Edgbaston. They've already called it a draw in the game between Leicestershire and Sussex and Northamptonshire and Middlesex, with no play possible.
Sounds like we got away lightly.
I think we did. Yeah, I think we did. Vince on strike, and Wells it will be to continue. From the hotel end, he's going to continue over the wicket to Vince, who's carefully back and across and defending. George Bell's at short leg to pick the ball up and loop it back to Luke Wells. You see Keaton Jennings, Lancashire captain there, chatting to number 42, Tom Bruce, who's at leg slip. Jennings number 1, the skipper's at slip. Bell's at forward short leg. Again, Vince off the back foot defends, and again there's no run.
These two out in the middle have really taken sort of the sting out of the situation, haven't they, really? It's very subdued out there. I'm sure Lancashire still believe, and they will believe, but you don't think, they don't get the feeling they're going to run riot here, do they?
Wells to Vince, dabbed away for no run. We've had almost 2 hours of cricket now, and the night watchman's got out, and that's it. And there's not a great deal else has happened.
No, there hasn't. You're right. Skillful batting.
Yeah,
Still some good bowling going on out there,
yeah.
but it's again the pitch and the ball.
Wells to Vince, and just calmly play back towards Luke Wells. Yeah, there's no criticism at all towards what Lancashire have done. They've done pretty much everything they could possibly do to try and get a wicket. There's been some calm, smart batting by 2 very good players.
Yeah.
Not had too much assistance, as we've said all through the game, as Vince leans into it and defends his next delivery from Luke Wells. Again, there is no run.
Started off at 110, trailing by 78. They've knocked 68 of those off since then.
And Wells, having started around the wicket to Vince, then has gone over the wicket to Vince. He's now going back around the wicket to Vince for the final ball of the over. And with him pitching the ball outside leg stump from around the wicket, Vince just thrusts out a pad and just allows that one to deflect away. It's a maiden over for Luke Wells. Yeah, summary of the game: that Hampshire 367 in the first innings. Dawson and Prest both reaching 80s. Wickets for Lyon, 3 for 110. Lancashire replying thanks to a century from the captain and a 99 from George Bell. 4 wickets for Dawson. And then second time round, Hampshire just lost those 3 wickets so far. Gubbins and Vince are going pretty nicely for the home side.
Thank you, Scott. Dave Allen is going to come back alongside me. Hampshire's honorary archivist, who I think I'm going to ask him. I think he's only the honorary archivist for the rest of this year. Is that right, Dave? I think you said something to me about that.
Well, officially these days I'm actually called the historian now.
Oh, historian.
Yeah,
oh, you've reverted back. There's a cut shot from Gubbins, start of a new over from Bailey, who's bowling off spin.
The explanation partly being that we've got a whole group of people now working on Hampshire Cricket Heritage who kind of come new recently, and they're very lively and full of energy and have done lots of wonderful things, sorting out the archive, which is terrific. And yeah, my plan, is to officially to retire from all those You know, so you won't have to remember what my title is because I won't have one.
You just be plain old Dave
And
Allen.
and which is fine by me. And I'll be a kind of consultant really, and just help if there's things to be done.
Yeah.
That's my plan.
One of those people that retires and comes back as a consultant.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. Here comes Bailey bowling it's seamers to James Vince. It's turned away square on the leg side.
I think you can't deny that Lancashire have been quite inventive. They've tried everything, haven't they, in all kinds of ways. It's remarkable to watch a man actually bowling, with pace to the right-hander and spin to the left-hander. So that's pretty unusual. Really.
I said yesterday he's the modern-day Mike Watkinson who used to do that for Lancashire.
That's right. Yes.
Back in the sort of 80s, 90s.
Yeah. That's absolutely right.
He used to switch depending on the situation and conditions. Bowled his medium pace seam up, and then he turned it as well. Here's Bailey again, then runs towards us and bowls way down the leg side, and a diving Hurst can't pick that up cleanly either. Got fingertips to it, which took the pace off the delivery. It's gone down to fine leg, and that will be 2 byes. It's not an easy delivery to take that, because not only was it full and way down the leg side, but because there's no bounce makes it difficult for the keeper. 110 for 3, Hampshire are 7 behind now.
I was thinking actually the other famous occasion of varied approaches was Tony Gregg. I think when he went to India, took England to India, I think he was captain then, and started experimenting with off-spin for the first time.
Did he?
Yeah, but he was always a sort of medium fast bowler before that. Yeah.
He was quite quick off-spin, wasn't he? Did he go quick,
I think so,
from what I remember.
Yeah.
Forward Vince to a length ball from Bailey. Yeah, I seem to remember. He used to have that weird run-up where he sort of took a stride and stopped. Took a stride. It wasn't a smooth run-up.
No, he never was a kind of particularly smooth-looking bowler, was he? Really, he was sort of awkward. There was more in it than needed to be, almost. But but it had an effect.
Oh yeah, tall, wasn't he? So that
very tall. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he sort of just before me really. That sort of pushed out towards mid-wicket. I certainly don't remember playing against him anyway.
No, I don't think you would have done, because I mean my memory. I'm trying to remember. Of course, the thing was he got completely wrapped up in the Packer affair.
Yes.
He was the man who recruited. Now, at some point Sussex said they didn't want him anymore, and then there was a sort of legal battle, because it happened with 1 or 2 other people. I think Warwickshire got involved in that. They weren't going to honour contracts and things, and then were forced to.
Okay. Down the leg side again. He seems to be going for this delivery on. Well, it's not just on leg stump. It's a little wider than that.
But I think in Gregg's case, he may just have decided, well, that's enough anyway. He played in the Packer tournaments, and then perhaps never. It certainly wasn't going to play for England again. They did away with him. But and there were no test contracts in those days. So if they chose not to pick him, they could choose not to pick him for whatever reason, and that was it. So I suspect he didn't play in the 80s.
No, his last first-class matches were in '78.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then he played for the World 11, the World Series Cricket World 11 in '79.
Yeah.
That
makes sense.
His last games in that.
Yeah.
So we've got Nathan Lyon back. I think we have. He's never far away, is he? No. 17 overs, 1 for 27. Will he get as many as 38 in as he did in the first innings? I suppose it depends on if 1 or 2 wickets fall.
Yeah, I think wickets would have to go quickly, wouldn't they? It's difficult now to envisage. What have we got? We've got another 20 minutes to tea, and after that, it's difficult to imagine much more than dust blowing up there.
Yeah, I think they've.
The bales have come.
Well, the bales have come on.
Yeah.
It's like Wellington.
Yeah.
It's like playing cricket in Wellington. The bales will keep coming off.
Yeah. I don't know whether they still have weighted bales, because they used to, didn't they?
Yeah,
on occasions like this.
And I've said it often that I've played first-class cricket in Wellington with the bales off.
Ah.
It was that windy. So I suppose this is nothing new. If you were a first-class cricketer or a club cricketer in Wellington, that's pushed out short on the offside.
And now I don't know
there's
about
no
New
run.
Zealand, but is that North Island?
Bottom of the North Island.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's because I was telling you that I've got my pals coming to play some music with me on Friday, and they're coming from the North Island.
Whereabouts? Do you know?
No, I can't remember.
Because it's fairly big.
Yeah.
That's turned away on the leg side, fielded at leg slip. I think that's George Bell who's... Oh no, he's in at short leg, George Bell. That might be Balderson, I think.
They're due into Heathrow today, I think.
Are they?
So I should think that plane is getting blown about a bit.
I was going to say, that would be fun coming in at the moment. You'd be pretty relieved when that touches the tarmac. Gubbins works that on the leg side. A stop by George Bell. Good stop from him. Otherwise, Gubbins was looking for that single that would have taken him to a half century, but he's still there on 49. And we have 43 overs to do minimum after this, which we're halfway through. Lions 18th over. Just picked up that one wicket. The night watchman, Kyle Abbott, 10 minutes on the resumption. There's the gap on the leg side, and there's Gubbins' half century. Exactly 50 not out of 135 balls and 4 fours, and that goes alongside his half century in the first innings. So a good game and a good opening to the season from Nick Gubbins. And those of you that follow Hampshire cricket regularly, as we do, will know that in this fixture 2 years ago he got 200s. So, obviously he likes playing Lancashire here at the Utilita. He's played a very watchful innings, and he's needed to really to steady things. Those nerves that may have been around when on the resumption at 110. He's done a good job so far. Needs to do a little bit more yet though, as Vince turns that quietly to short leg.
There was that fascinating story that Simon Hughes was telling you yesterday about Donald Bradman, saying that he never got nervous. You know, never got out in the 19... And I was thinking afterwards about... I mean, I can't share that experience as a cricketer, but...
Lion bowls was played very late. Has to watch as Vince to make sure it doesn't come back off the face of the bat onto the stumps. He's okay. End of the over, 111 for 3.
Sometimes I use my experiences in music and try and think of an analogy, think of a comparison with cricket, you know. And I was thinking that actually, you know, I mean, it doesn't happen very much now because I do pretty modest gigs in local pubs and nothing much going on and so on. But, you know, there have been times in the past when I've done fairly big gigs and been nervous and anxious and so on, and then it's been exciting and it's gone well and so on. And I was thinking, in an odd kind of way, it's a bit of a shame for Bradman if he never experienced nerves and anxieties, because that's quite a big part of most performance, whether you're a cricketer or a singer or anything really. It's quite a big thing, isn't it? And then when you, like you were saying, you know, when you got that 100, then you feel really good about it, you know, because you've conquered the nerves, conquered the anxieties and battled your way through it.
And that's why a lot of people are out soon after reaching 3 figures.
Yeah.
Because they actually relax. They change their mindset, and it's like, I've got there, great. now I might do something different. And they lose concentration. And that's why this happens quite a bit. 62 run partnership between these two now. Vince and Gubbins. Vince has 31. He's at the non-strikers end, and we've got a change of bowling again. And Balderson is going to have his first bowl of this innings. George Balderson. He'll be bowling right arm seamers as well. He's round the wicket. He's got the keeper Hurst standing up. He's bowling to Nick Gubbins. He's trying to pull that away on the leg side, flick it away, misses. And again, we've got that weird field on the leg side, Dave.
I've not got my score thing with it, but okay, sorry. I just got a bit confused about Balderson not having bowled before this innings, but you're quite right.
Only this innings, yeah.
Yeah,
he did bowl in the first innings.
Yeah.
But the deficit is down to 6 now. Here's Balderson on the wicket. Gubbins flicks that away down to fine leg for a single, moves on to 51. That deficit is now down to 5.
Of course, the other thing is once Hampshire take the lead, I know we're talking about minimum overs, but it's not. I don't know. I suppose Lions bowled a lot. They might get more overs in than that. But the other thing is about once Hampshire take the lead, you knock 2 overs off change of innings as well. So you know that begins to change the computation.
But there's still a few overs, isn't there? 42, just over 42 overs. Balderson's first innings figures. 14 overs, one baden done for 60.
Yeah.
So he's looking for his first wicket of the game. Comes in, still the keeper's up to Vince, who works that away, threads the ball through that trio of fielders fairly close in on the leg side. Picks up 2. Does Vince, and moves on to 33. That deficit is down to 3. 114 for 3 now. Hampshire having been 39 for 2 overnight when we resumed at 1:10 straight after an early lunch.
I was saying to Scott earlier that it's interesting when you think about it, you know, if you were to ask the average cricket fan, you know, where are you most likely to get James Vince out, they'd say call it gully, wouldn't they?
That's right.
Gully.
That, you know what, that's very true. That's a straight delivery, which is worked to short mid wicket, and yet Lancashire are working on the leg side theory.
It's fascinating. Really got a plan, and it's not the plan that typically gets rid of
It doesn't.
James Vince.
But interesting in this game, Dave, there has not been a catch at slip off a seam bowler. There's been a couple behind.
Yeah.
Ben Brown's taken
Yeah.
one, I think, and Hurst has taken a couple.
Yeah.
That's driven back to the bowler by Vince.
Yeah.
There's been a couple of catches that slip off the spinners,
Yeah.
but there has not been any of the seamers.
Which suggests there isn't much deviation.
Not much deviation, not much pace.
No.
Yeah, so I suppose if that was a way of getting Vince out, as a lot of people have said that is the way to get him out, get him driving and what have you, seam bowling. They completely ruled that out on this pitch. Length ball, which Vince works square on the leg side, and that will be the end of the over. If you took the wind away, it's a perfect day.
Yeah.
Isn't it? The
Funny,
sun
isn't it?
out,
Yeah.
it's bright. When
Yeah.
the sun comes out fully, it's bright. There's a lot of blue sky now.
Yeah, yeah. A few nice little white fluffy clouds, and I think it is the wind. But I said earlier, it's not just the wind. The temperature has gone from. I mean, I sat out with half this much clothing. I sat out on Thursday when I was just watching on the. You know, I was over there most of the time, and it was just lovely.
Yeah.
It's just warm.
Days 1 and 2, beautiful in the afternoon.
I had just a shirt and a jacket on. I've got about 5 layers on now, and I'm freezing. It really has plummeted the temperature.
There's not too many people in the ground either. I'm afraid it's not easy watching in these conditions. But there are a few at the far end of the ground, at the Shane Warne stand, but only a few.
Always the hardy ones.
Yeah. So we have Nathan Lyon.
And 10 minutes to tea.
Oh, no, he's got a long run up. Was it me? Or no, it's not a long run. It looked like it was a long run up for a minute. Forward Gubbins, Lyon into his 19th over here. But yes, you're right. There's 15 minutes till tea, is that?
Yeah.
No, 15 minutes till tea. Oh no, 10 minutes. You're right.
It's 11
minutes.
25 past. Yeah.
That's right. You have to remember it's been brought forward by 15 minutes because we had an earlier start to the afternoon session. Flighted, Gubbins on the back foot. Comfortable single there as the field is set back, apart from the 2 close-in catches on that side. Gubbins moves on to 52.
Can't fault the overseas man for workload, can you? He's kept going through this game.
He has, hasn't he? He might have hoped for a little bit more help from the pitch, mind you, really out of the rough. But we've seen this before, Dave, haven't we? Even when there's a bit of rough on this pitch, it doesn't misbehave. It bites in the rough from time to time as Lyon bowls. Vince turns it away, that sort of straight under fraction, but it doesn't explode out of the rough and it doesn't go quick.
No.
And you know, a lot of bowlers think, oh yeah, by day 4 that'll dust up and that'll do this and that'll do that, but it doesn't really hit.
No, it doesn't.
Here comes Lyon again. Vince is on the back foot. Has all the time in the world because there's no pace on the ball. There's no pace on the ball, obviously, because he's a spinner, but when the ball pitches, Lyon would want it to just fizz on a fraction more, wouldn't he? But it's...
I've seen one keep low, but otherwise the bounce is pretty
It isn't it?
predictable.
Batters have plenty of time, don't they? Vince turns it away on the 45 on the leg side. There is a fielder there.
I think he might be looking forward to going to Chelmsford because there's a good chance that the pitch will be prepared at least slightly for Mr. Harmer.
Well, yeah, but has it this game? It hasn't really, has it? There's been a lot of runs up there.
Maybe not. Mind you, is that the ball? Because they'll be back to Dukes. Maybe
Not too.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, it might be a different kettle of fish there next week.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on that one, Dave.
Yep.
Here comes Lyon again. Quick goes right on the pad. That looks close, and he's gone. There's the wicket of James Vince. He looks a little disappointed. It was a quicker delivery, skidded through, and Vince was playing it from the crease. Here's the replay. And Vince, he's not really moved that front foot, has he? He's just played slightly across it, and
I think he thought it was leg side, but I'm not sure.
He just didn't really come forward, did he?
No. So,
well,
that could be a key wicket, couldn't it, just before tea? I mean, I suggested that Tom Prest looked absolutely terrific on the first day, but he's not that experienced as a player, so Lancashire might fancy that they can get through him. Assuming he's in next, I think he probably will be. They might decide to send Dawson in to do the solid defensive job, but I suspect they'll probably stick with the normal order.
He's taking his time coming in. Vince is going up the stairs, and the new batter is yet to come down there.
Well, I hope he's not timed out. That would be a shame.
Obviously making sure I don't face too many balls up until the tea break. But, well, that's just made it a fraction more interesting, hasn't it, from a game situation, Dave?
Yeah.
The wind blows like mad again. Looks like Prest, does it?
Yeah. And you'd think that maybe... I know Lyon got the first one, but that was the night watchman. Do you think, in some senses, Lyon has probably deserved that, really? He's worked and with nothing much in it. It's a good situation for Prest, actually. It checks him out, doesn't it? And, it's another opportunity for him to demonstrate his maturity. I mean, there have been a couple of guys that he captained in the England under-19 side who've gone on to really quite considerable success. You know, in one case, it's England Test cap. So it'd be good to see him. He's still only 21, so that's okay. But it would be good to see him establish himself firmly in the side this year.
Well, in
and which was a bit disappointing. So
well,
I think it'd be great if he did, really.
So that was the end of Lyon's over. We were about 6 minutes away from tea. Vince departs for 33 off 93 balls with 3 fours.
And they've gone back to Luke Wells.
Yeah.
That's interesting, isn't it? A wicket falls, and they decide that.
Time for Wells as he's round the wicket to Gubbins. Gubbins works that into the ground on the leg side. I've got an email here from Duncan Holding, sonatcricket@gmail.com, talking about Tony Gregg.
Yeah.
Dave, he bowled off-spin to win the final test against the West Indies. Took 4 for 73.
Okay.
Oh no, hang on. I think I've got that wrong. Hang on. That's cut away by Gubbins for a single. 116 for 4. Hampshire trail by 1. I think he means in 73-74. Took 13 wickets in the final test. And Boycott regretted scoring 99 and 112. It kept Mike Dennis as captain. He left Sussex in 1978 after being suspended for most of the season for criticising Boycott in print, says Duncan Holding in Southport.
Okay.
All right.
Right, not for recruiting for Packer. I thought that. I don't know. Yeah, maybe both. Yeah, maybe both those things. Just maybe ended up as a naughty boy.
Here's Wells again. Drive by Prest up to mid-off. There's no run. And that wind, those gusts of wind, fairly regular now.
Of course, he was the other thing about Tony Gregg, of course, was that he did that famous interview down at Hove when he announced that he was going to make the 1975 West Indians grovel.
I remember that. It's pushed out on the offside off the back foot by Prest.
Great mistakes in public oratory.
Yeah. And the West Indies had the firepower,
didn't they?
To make people eat their words.
Didn't they just, especially that? Goodness me.
Here's Wells again with his leg spin to Prest forward. I think he's outside edge there as the ball goes out to backward a point.
Including, of course, Hampshire's Andy Roberts.
Yes.
And Hampshire's Gordon Greenwich, both of them in that That was also the year, of course, when they won the. I'm actually talking rubbish. I know it was 76, I think, not 75. But.
Prest just steers that one a little uppish up to mid-on. There's nobody there. Well, there is somebody there at deepish mid-on, but when the ball was in the air, fortunately. But he did push at that one a little bit. Ball maybe just came back at him a fraction. He's off the mark and he'll keep the strike. We have 4 minutes until tea, and I'm sure the batters out there will try and keep it down to just 1 over that 4 minutes. 117 for 4. Abbott for 12 and Vince for 33, the two men that are out in this session so far. And from a Hampshire point of view, of course, they'll be hoping that is the case. Ralph Brooker has emailed silentcricket@gmail.com. He says, hi Kevin, Dave, top quality commentary, thank you. Irrespective of the result, would love to see Tom Prest stake his place. Clearly a talent. I think those of us who watched him in the first innings,
Yeah.
it was a classy 85.
Yeah,
wasn't
it was lovely to watch. Yeah.
Took Nathan Lyon on with 2 reverse sweeps early on.
I ought to just completely correct ourselves there and emphasise that West Indies won the World Cup in 75, and then they came to England and played in so the Grovel series was 76, not 75.
Okay.
So beg your pardon.
That's all right. Well,
It was also that series when famously Edrich and Close were in their 40s and were put under the hammer in that Saturday evening.
Oh God, that was on BBC TV in those days, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Lyon bowls to Prest, who's forward. Yes. I've said this many times, but I saw the photo when I first joined Middlesex. There was a photo up in the Lord's Tavern of Brian Close in the physio's room after that afternoon.
Yeah.
After that evening, with his shirt off, almost turned, and it's gone past the inside edge, I think, of Prest's forward prod. And he was sitting on the physio's table, and somebody took a photo of all the bruises on his chest in the door. 117 for 4, 9 again. Close catches on the off and the leg side. A drive from Prest. Plays a lot of bottom hand, doesn't he? It's almost like a slap when he plays that shot on the offside. You see some batters do that now.
Yeah, I was just going to say to you, I think it's a modern thing. That's right, isn't it?
A little slap with the bottom hand.
Whether it's partly a sort of white ball trick that's come into the
I think it
full
is,
ball,
Dave. I think it is.
full day game.
Press on the back foot, steers that into gap on the leg side. Could be 2. They're not running especially hard, but they do get 2. Gubbins just has to get a little bit of a whip out for the last couple of yards, but he's safe. There's 2 runs are completed, and Prest moves on to 3. 119 for 4.
And Hampshire go in the lead.
Yeah, I don't think it's quite gone up on the scoreboard. 119 for 4.
Yeah.
Should be a lead.
Yeah, lead of 2.
Yes, lead of 2. Yes, it is. Sorry, maybe it's me not reading the scoreboard right. Prest gets one. It just comes back into him a fraction, but again, he's got a lot of time to play that one. 15:24. The scoreboard is shown, and there's 1 ball left. Both batters prod in the middle of the wicket. Lyon's back at the start of his mark. Prest just marks out his guard again. I think we might get another over in. Depends on what happens here. As Prest's on the back foot, keeps a little low. That's the one that skids. That did for James Vince, but Prest has played that one okay. There is still a minute to go. I think we're going to get one in. I think we're going to get another one in. Oh no, it's just changed. What are they going to do? The umpires aren't quite in position. No, they're going off for tea.
Tea time.
Both umpires have to be in position, don't they, Dave?
Yep,
And
that's
they
right.
weren't.
Yep.
So tea here at the Utilita Bowl with Hampshire in their second innings, 119 for 4. They have a lead, albeit by just 2. Nick Gubbins, who was overnight 20 not out. We didn't get any play till 1:10 because of a heavy rainstorm around 9:30 this morning. Well, Gubbins has moved on to 53. That's off a 141. The hover cover's coming on. Actually, there are a couple of dark clouds coming over, Dave.
Yeah.
It's maybe just a precaution, although the sun's out. Tom Prest is still out there. I say still out there, he's on 3. The 2 wickets that did fall, Kyle Abbott, after 10 minutes of play, just sort of whipped Nathan Lyon. Didn't really time it, but George Bell took a good reaction catch at short leg. Yeah, there is some rain to the right, isn't there?
Yeah, there is.
Right.
There's definitely rain clouds over there. Yeah.
Right. That was 49 for 3 when Hampshire resumed on 39 for 2. And then James Vince, who made a patient 33 off 93 balls, was LBW to Nathan Lyon. Stuck on the crease there a little bit more, or maybe just kept a bit low. 3 fours in that innings. That was 115 for 4. We lost 24 overs this morning. And long as the rain stays away, which I think it will, although the sun has disappeared. We will wait and see over the tea break. As long as there's no more rain, we'll be back with you in just under 20 minutes' time. Back end of August?
Yeah, because my mate just sent me through a date.
What we do, yeah, all different. Oh, that's good. Hey? Yeah, it is. And I like it because it's proper music. And a very good afternoon from the Utilita Bowl, where we are coming towards the end of the tea break on the last day, the fourth day of this County Championship Division 1 match between Hampshire and Lancashire. The sun is out, and we did have a rain shower during the break, but it was a fleeting shower that went over very quickly, and you'd expect to have gone over pretty quickly because the wind has been a bit of a factor today. It's been very cold, but as I speak, the sun is out and it's not too bad. Now, the state of play, after a delayed start this afternoon, we had to wait until 1:10 because of a rain shower this morning, up until the tea break. Hampshire, after resuming on 39 for 2, are 119 for 4. They lost 2 wickets this afternoon. Kyle Abbott for 12, the night watchman. James Vince, LBW to Nathan Lyon for 33. Lyon taking both wickets. And at 119 for 4, they now lead by 2 runs. Just the 2. But 33 overs were bowled in that afternoon session, which means there are still 40, I think it's about 40, it's just disappeared off the screen. I'll give you the exact figure in a moment. But Lancashire really do now need to start taking wickets quickly if they are to have any hope of winning the game. They haven't been helped with the weather today, haven't been helped, as neither team's been helped by the fact that the pitch is pretty slow and not doing a lot. So it's a tall ask, but we're back out playing. I'm Kevin James. Scott Reed is still with me from BBC Manchester and Lancashire, and we'll have the analyst Simon Hughes a little bit later before what we think might be a close of play in about an hour's time.
We've got Luke Wells to open up from the pavilion end for Lancashire after tea, bowling to Nick Gubbins. Throws that one outside the off stump and it's left and through to the keeper. It was quite a heavy shower, wasn't it? But it did blow away through pretty quickly. Actually, you say now the sun's out. It's all right in the sun.
Just everywhere else.
Just everywhere else. If you're in the shade today, blimey. Here's Wells in and bowling. Gubbins off the back foot. Plays a late cut down towards deep backward point. That's Tom Hartley, who's on as a 12th man and losing his cap in the breeze as he fields the ball. Not sure who he's on for, but we'll see if we can work it out. Single there for Gubbins. And Hampshire, well, into the final session of the match. Lancashire, I've got to try and find 6 wickets here, and pretty quickly. The lead is 2. It's Vince and Gubbins partnership through the afternoon. As press goes back to Wells, whip it away to the onside. I got Lancashire's fielders close in, interested. A shake of the head by the umpire. Not out was the call. As we watch back on the replay. More in hope than expectation, I reckon. The Lancashire close in field as Wells bowls again to Prest, who's forward in defence, and there's no run. So Vince falling just on the stroke of tea, but that partnership batting through the bulk of the first session on this final day has given Hampshire a very solid platform in which to try and negotiate this final session of the match.
66 they put on.
It's a good effort as Wells to Prest, who batted nicely in the first innings, getting forward and defending, and there's no run.
And Gubbins has been a rock out there, hasn't he, really? 54 off 143 balls. He's played Nathan Lyon well. Lyon not getting a lot out of this pitch as he did in the first innings, but still needs a lot of respect.
That's fizzed outside the off stump by Wells to Press, who doesn't offer a shot. He might just have got that one to go the other way, Luke Wells, or at least trying to, or just maybe going straight on. Oh, that's come back in, yeah. That's good from Wells. Deceiving Prest, but it's good judgment in the end by Prest as he lets that one go through. And it's the end of the first over after tea. 120 for 4.
Well, I was talking with Dave Allen just before tea about Tony Gregg. I'll just read out a couple of emails from people that were kind enough just to email in over the tea break. Duncan Holding, solentcricket@gmail.com, says the TCCB, which was the old ECB, Test and County Cricket Board, lost a case brought by Proctor, Snow and Gregg in 1977. The TCCB attempted to ban Kerry Packer players from playing county cricket, but they lost the case. But Warwickshire got around this in 1978, saying the contract of Dennis Amis would not be renewed after Kent decided their Packer players could continue to play. And Packer only settled with the Australian Cricket Board. That's pushed by Gubbins behind square on the offside. Just finished reading this email off, and then we'll sum up the plays today so far. Packer only settled with the Australian Cricket Board once Amis was rehired by Warwickshire, but Tony Gregg demanded a job for life from Packer and got it. Cricket's first millionaire, says Duncan Holding. We're just talking about Tony Gregg just before tea, just finishing off that conversation. We're in the sunshine here at the Aegeus Bowl. Welcome BBC 5 Sports Extra listeners to this game here at the Utilita, with Nick Gubbins pushing that out on the offside for a single. He, as I said earlier, have been an absolute rock today, because Hampshire, well, there was one or two here that feared the worst when overnight Hampshire were 39 for 2. Still trailing Lancashire by 78 runs, and I suppose there's always the possibility that he could be bowled out today, even though this pitch has been very placid, very slow paced, and bowling with a spin or seam has been, you've had to work very hard to pick up wickets. Here's Lyon bowls, and Prest is on the back foot, playing that into the ground. Hampshire's cause was helped by the fact we didn't start till 1 because of a heavy rain shower around 9:30 this morning. The number of overs were reduced by 24 to 72 overall. Kyle Abbott, the night watchman, went pretty quickly at the start, with Nathan Lyon picking up the wicket. That's played into the ground and fielded at short leg. Abbott going for 12, caught by Bell, who just fielded that one there. Took a good reaction catch. He went for 12. And then James Vince and Nick Gubbins combined for 66 runs in the afternoon session before James Vince was out just before the tea break, as Prest is forward. Pushes that out on the onside. Vince, who was in defensive mode, wasn't he, Scott, for a long time at the start of his innings. Then he opened out a little bit and then sort of went defensive again. 33 from 93 balls before he was LBW to Nathan Lyon with one that just kept a little low, and he was playing from the crease as Prest pushes out square on the offside. So Hampshire went to tea on 119 for 4, with Gubbins on 53 not out and Tom Prest on 3. They led then by 2, and they've since extended that by 2. And they are now 4 in front at 121 for 4, with still a minimum of 37 overs left. And having had a rain shower during the tea break, so we didn't lose any more overs for that, this is now probably about the best part of the day.
Yeah, got some sunshine, which is nice. It's just taking the edge off the wind chill factor. There's still a bit of work here for Hampshire to do. As Kevin said, 37 overs is quite a lot, and the lead is only 4. But 4 wickets have fallen so far in this Hampshire second innings, and they've got 6 more to get. And it's been hard work for the bowlers for the first 4 days of the match to try and get wickets. So we're going to have to see something we've not seen so far in this match, which is a clatter of wickets in the game.
Yeah.
In the final session. But you never know. We've got spin from both ends, we've got Lyon from one end, and the leg spin of Luke Wells from the far end, albeit he did just send down one that spun back the other way to Tom Prest in the final ball of his last over, but Prest left and it went past the off stump, which got a few of the Lancashire players interested. He bowls to Gubbins here, who's off the back foot and able to chop this away through the offside for a single. He moves on to 56, 122 for 4.
Yeah, Gubbins has been a bit of a thorn in Lancashire's side in this fixture 2 years ago, 100 in each innings. Here he's had a half century in each innings, and he's played Lyon particularly well. Lyon's been very accurate, as you'd expect. The odd ball to turn out of the rough, but he's been slow.
Here's Wells to Prest, who's careful and going back and across and defending and just easing the ball away through the offside for no run. 122 for 4. Yeah, he's batted well. There's been some good performers with the bat in this fixture, as there has been from plenty of batters around the country. Gubbins reaching a 50 in both innings. He's now 56 not out. Prest leaves this ball, that's wide of off stump. Prest himself Made 85 first time round for Hampshire.
Played line well.
He did. And now he's got the challenge of spin from both ends to contend with. 122 for 4, a lead of 5 for Hampshire. Here's Luke Wells for Lancashire in, bowls, and Press goes back and works the ball away through the onside, just behind square. To the man Tom Hartley at backward square leg, and there's no run. Hartley not playing in this fixture, he's on there as a 12th man. With his hands buried into his pockets at backward square leg. Here's Wells in over the wicket to Press. It's short and walloped away through the onside, bouncing out towards the backward square leg boundary. And Press onto that short ball from Wells in a flash. He moves to 7, 126 for 4.
That won't help gripping the ball, because it was a fairly, even though it moved quite quickly, it was a heavy shower at tea time. So that ball will get decidedly wet when it gets thrown back by Tom Hartley.
Yeah, I haven't worked out yet who he's on for. Might be Tom Bailey. Let's have a little scout around. I can see Will Williams, I see Nathan Lyon. Yeah, it's Tom Bailey who he's on for. And he's been told to stay where he is at deep backward square leg now. Here's Wells in to Prest. He just takes the single with the field just dropped back. He just pushes the ball through mid-on, jogs through for 1. And retains the strike. It's the end of the over. So Prest is on 8, lead now into double figures. It's up to 10. It's 127 for 4. The wicket of James Vince just on the stroke of tee. LBW to Nathan Lyon for 33. Just giving Lancashire a little bit of extra interest heading into this final session.
That's right. Just seeing Tom Hartley on there. Luke Wells has bowled 15 overs as a support bowler to Nathan Lyon. I don't know if that suggests that maybe Tom Hartley might have had a little part to play had he been involved. But then I suppose who would he come in for?
Well, last week
he played last week, didn't he?
He did, yeah. And George Bell missed out for Hartley to play.
And Bell got 99. So here's Lyon, bowls to Prest. Oh, it's in the air momentarily. Bell throws out his left hand at short leg, more in hope than anything, but goes harmlessly by. But it's no run.
So I suppose you're either going with the same team as last week, or if you want to get Bell in it, and Bell can keep wicket, you're perhaps not looking to pick Matty Hurst. So
Prest is forward, full of delivery this time from Lyon, goes out to mid-wicket. A selection conundrum, isn't it, really? Who would you leave out? Bell, 99, not going to leave him out now, are you?
No.
But could he go behind the stumps and Hurst, mister? Would you change it? Lancashire have been all right this game. Oh, he's forward, bats on the pad. Shout from Nathan Lyon mainly. He's on his knees for an LBW. Thought initially he was going to appeal for an inside edge onto the pad as the ball ballooned up in the air, but nobody took it. And he was going for the LBW. Outside the line, Press looking at the
decent
replay.
way forward, didn't he?
Yeah,
Decent
he did, yeah.
stride forward.
Unlike Vince, who was playing a bit from the crease with his LBW, and it kept a bit low, which not ideal when you're stuck a little bit there. That's full. Well, that's turned, but from fairly wide. We have seen that as we've got into the last day.
It's those footmarks he's created for himself, isn't it?
Well, yes, there has been talk about that he does. As he sort of takes a stride or two down, he sort of stands there, doesn't he? Sort of chest on to the batter, and he's standing there with his 2 feet wide apart. But he's not encroaching actually on the area. That's turned away through mid-wicket by Tom Press. Short boundary side. The ball's going to roll over the rope, and that is 4 runs. Press moves on to, I think that'll be 12. Come ahead of the board. Yes, 131 for 4. The lead is 14 now.
So I was going forward from a Lancashire point of view, a debate about trying to get Hartley back into the side and play Hartley in line again. Who would you try and who would you leave out? Would you need that extra seamer?
Press works that to mid-wicket, no run.
You pick Bailey. You've got Williams, George Balderson, who hasn't bowled in this match, has he? Oh yes, he has. Apologies, he bowled 14 overs.
Oh, right.
So you've got Williams, Bailey, Balderson, and then you could go with your 2 spinners, and you could keep Hurst and Bell in there.
It's a lot of bowling.
Yeah. So do you need that extra seamer?
Blathaway into this side, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Having been injured last week. Well, they're working hard here, Lancashire, but there's not a lot to work with. This ball is now 58 overs old. We know it's soft. Difficult to find a extra bounce, difficult to find extra pace off the pitch. Seen that not just here, all over the country actually.
Yeah.
Looking at the scores.
Looking at the game between Essex and Kent. There's a finish on there for Essex. As Wells is in bowling to Gubbins, who's forward in defence. Kent are now 5 down, 79 for 5. 2 wickets for Porter, 1 for Snater, 1 for Harmer and 1 for Critchley. So Essex within 5 wickets of making it back-to-back wins to start the season. It's Luke Wells in to Gubbins, who's flirting a bit with that. Again, he wasn't kind of committed one way or the other.
He's got the googly going a little bit, actually, Luke Wells. If you watch on the replay, it's going across Gubbins. He's playing a long way away from his body. There is a little hint of turn, isn't there, for Luke Wells, and it's not coming out of any footmarks.
Saw the googly to press, didn't we? Over or 2 ago. He does well to keep that out. There's Gubbins, who I think just trying to get a little bit of a grip here with what Wells is sending down and which way it's going.
That's come back in a fraction to Gubbins. It's almost like he's not quite sure. There's enough of a deviation, isn't there? Just enough. That's making the batter guess a little bit.
131 for 4, lead of 14. Wells in to Gubbins, forward in defence, and there's no run.
That's too full, that one. That's not going to cause you a problem.
No, he kind of knew that, didn't he?
Yeah.
As soon as he released the ball, he kind of slumped down with his hands and his knees, Luke Wells, and he just got that one wrong. Previous couple, one that went across him, the one that came back into him, were tricky for Gubbins to try and deal with. That's off the back foot, and it's a fraction short, and Gubbins carves the ball away through the offside. It's racing out towards the boundary, and 4 runs will help Hampshire, because it just pushes them a little further in front as well. Gubbins moves on to 60. The lead is 18 now.
Just over 34 overs left in the day, which I don't think we'll get any more, even if wickets do fall. So Luke Wells, well, this over, I don't think we've really seen the ball go off the straight when it hasn't pitched in some bowlers' footmarks. A couple of balls have been very impressive. He's into his 8th over, none for 16. Gubbins still has 3 men round the bat though, and just prods at that one, plays it into the ground, goes behind square on the offside. That's the end of the over. So Nick Gubbins is 60 not out here, having resumed on 20 not out overnight. Had to wait a while, as I was saying earlier, for day 4 to begin at 10 past 1. They had an early lunch at 12:30. And Tom Prest is on 12 not out. Hampshire 135 for 4 then in their second innings. They now lead by 18. 59 overs have been bowled in this Hampshire second innings. That was quick.
I missed it. Early season.
Yeah.
Poor form from
You only had 1 or 2.
Yeah.
His line turned a little bit, but again it's coming off the surface quite slow, so Prest has all the time in the world to play it into the ground. No chance of short leg George Bell getting anywhere near that one. The wind's started to get back up. It was quite pleasant after that shower of rain. A couple of clouds have just started to come. There's that slap off the front foot which Prest plays so well. It's going out for 4. Out on the offside through the covers. You see this slap a lot, isn't it? We were sort of touching on it, weren't we, before tea, that you see a lot of batters do it now. It's almost as if they're not quite at the pitch of the ball, so rather than try and go through with the front elbow, keeping it nice and straight so you're reaching, the bottom hand comes in, slaps at the ball, and it allows you to get closer to the ball with the bat on the bounce. You see that a lot in white ball cricket, don't you? Now? A lot of batters just slapping it. Not the traditional top hand going through the ball. Prest plays that as well as anybody. It's just turned a fraction as he tickled it down the leg side. Lancashire thinks so. Umpire doesn't. Good take by Hurst. They just to flick the pad. Obviously some sort of noise you would think. Prest, usually if you get a little tickle you have a look back, don't you? He didn't.
Yeah. There'd be an element of guesswork in that for the umpire, wouldn't there, to get that out?
Yeah. Umpires haven't given too much, have they, in this game? There's been some close LBWs early on. Prest pulls that away. That was a horrible delivery from line. That should be 6. Just waiting for the umpire to signal, which he does. Short boundary side, you can miss it that for 6. I think Prest probably got most of the bat on that. That's probably one of Nathan Lyon's worst balls he's bowled, and he bowled 38 overs in the first innings, and he's into his 23rd now. Not seen too many balls pitched that short. Prest was quickly onto it though.
He was quite positive to Lyon, wasn't he, in the first innings? It wasn't all about kind of defence and survival and all the rest of it. He was quite inventive. He had his sweeps and his reverse sweeps, and he was quite positive.
Took him on, didn't
yeah.
he? Lyon bowls again. Prest is on the back foot. That doesn't turn at all, that one. Yeah, there is a man just behind square on the offside for that reverse sweep. But Prest has shown no inclination of playing it this time round. Yet. Maybe Lyon should change the field and just get him to do it. Jennings was out reverse sweep into Dawson. But mind you, had made 170 by the time we did it. Let's play back to the bowler. There's no run. End of the over. Lyon, 23 overs, 2 for 46. Taken both wickets today. Those of Abbott and Vince. 145 for 4. Hampshire in their second innings lead by 28, and we have a minimum of 33 overs left in the day.
Yep, we're going to continue with Wells from one end and Lyon from the other. I quite like this little spell from Wells. Certainly when he was bowling to Gubbins, just a little bit of uncertainty. He just managed to create a little bit of doubt here. He's getting some to kind of slide across him, some to come back in towards him. Just played it with a bit of hesitation to Gubbins, and I guess you get a bit interested as a bowling side when a batter's doing that. And that's not a good way for him to start as he fires that down the leg side. And taken by Hurst. There's a leg slip and a slip and a short leg, 3 around the bat, and the fielders on the offside are all deep. They're all out in the deep, but long off, deep cover, deep backward point. Likewise on the leg side, so there's a long on, there's a deep mid wicket, and a deep backward square leg. As Wells to Gubbins, going to single down towards short fine leg. And just a little leg side of that by Luke Wells, and Gubbins takes 1.
It's a good field. It's a good field, isn't it? Because you've got your close catches in, and Gubbins hasn't exactly played in with confidence in the last over or 2. So you've got your close catches in for that, but they also want to get pressed on strike. So they've got a field for both that. So they're now pressed. He certainly fancies his chances here, I think.
Wells into to Prest, short, and that's muscled out through the onside, bouncing out towards a deep mid-wicket boundary, and that's going to be 4 runs. Oh no, it's gone for 6, all the way for 6. The umpire kind of shaped to single 4 at first, and then spins round and signals a 6. Short from Wells, deep in the crease, hammered away. It's a big hit that for 6. It brings up the 150 for Hampshire as well.
That's out the middle of the bat, isn't it? It's a big boundary. Well, they've gifted Prest 12 runs here, haven't they, in the last few balls? Not a great delivery, that one.
Lead's shot up to 35 now. That's
great. I mean, I'm sure the fact that this ball's travelling over the outfield after that rain shower at tea time is not helping gripping the ball now.
Prest moves on to 28, 152 for 4. It's turned away through square leg by Tom Prest. Takes the single. 153 for 4, Prest to 29.
That lead shot up all of a sudden. It was 2 6s, 36. Remember, Hampshire starting the day trailing by 78.
Gubbins back on strike. Wells pushes Hartley out towards the point boundary. To Gubbins, short again. It's off the back foot. Able to hammer it out through the offside. At least probably got 30 yards to make up to his left hand side. Sweeps round the boundary, scoops up the ball. Gubbins comes back for 2. And the score moves on to 155 for 4 now. The lead of 38. Gubbins is 63 not out. Wells from the pavilion end for Lancashire Bowls to Gubbins. Play back towards Luke Wells off his own bowling to complete his over. His most expensive so far. 10 off it. It's at 155 for 4, lead of 38.
Yeah, it just looked like he lost his rhythm in that over. I'm sure there's a little bit to do with the fact that that ball probably is a little bit more difficult to grip now, running across this outfield. But, as I say, it was quite a heavy rain shower at tea time. In fact, the shower, I reckon, is still sort of hovering over the Telegraph Wood. It's probably over the Solent at the moment. It doesn't seem to have disappeared. But it blew over this ground pretty quick. Maybe the wind direction's changed a fraction. But we're okay. We've got blue sky above us. It's just very windy. Very windy indeed. Nathan Lyon to bowl his 24th over shortly, and he's going to be bowling to Tom Prest. Lancashire have to keep those men in short, and they have. Silly mid-off and short leg, slip, man on the drive on the leg side. Here's Lyon. Bowls, and Prest is forward. Ooh, inside edge there, as the ball just straightened on him. Went quite quickly, that one. So fired in perhaps a bit more by Lyon. Ball goes harmlessly, though, along the ground to backward of square. 155 for 4. There's Lyon, comes in again. And bowls to Prest. Oh, there's that skiddy one. Keeps low. Prest plays it though. And Lyon got excited, didn't he? You could see. Prest watched it onto the bat. Pushed it out on the leg side. So there's variations of Lyon, isn't it? Coming to the fore. If his pitch had a little bit more pace on it, it'd be more interesting.
Be tricky, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. That's flighted. Prest almost fell over himself, pushing that off the bottom of the bat, back to the bowler. Maybe the wind has made him overbalance fractionally. Just feels like it's whipping up again. Certainly plenty of sunshine. There's Lyons in again and bowls, and that turns a fraction. Oh, it's grips. As Prest plays it out behind square on the leg side once more.
Captain might change at the end of this over. I don't think Wells is going to have another one after that.
You don't think so?
No,
Who would you put on?
I think he might go for a bit of pace again. Well, there's no Bailey, so he's going to pick either Williams or Blatherwick. I can't see either of them warming up. Oh, actually, no, maybe Blatherwick is a little bit down here.
Williams hasn't bowled for a while, has he?
True, yeah. We've seen Balderson, have we, today neither? But I'd probably go with a bit of a burst from Blatherwick.
Yeah. Lyon's got 2 on the leg side now, catching. Prest on the back foot, watches that right onto the face and plays it late into the ground. Don't let those short legs have any encouragement. Don't push out at it as a batter, just let it come. Keep that face of the bat pointing towards the ground as Lyon bowls. Prest again plays it into the ground. Hits Bell on the foot as he does so, and that is the end of the over. That's a maiden over from Nathan Lyon. 2 for 46 from 24, 8 maidens. Hampshire knock off another over off the list. There's now 31 minimum to do, and the analyst Simon Hughes is back with us.
Afternoon.
Did you get blown over walking over?
Yeah, it's gusty. Well, our camera's blown over again.
Was it?
Yeah, but you know, it's not a day for cameras, is it? You'd have thought, wouldn't you, given the sponsors of Hampshire, Utilita, they could provide some heating up here as an energy provider. But well, maybe they will. Maybe they will.
It needs some solar panels to be installed first, yours.
And apparently that's coming.
Well, at some point, this it is. It was very much part of the deal.
I met their CMO downstairs earlier, and he said they're being installed in May.
Oh, are they? Oh, next month?
Yeah.
Oh, right. I didn't realise it was that quick. Yeah.
I suppose a bit of planning permission is required to tie it all up.
There's quite a few of them as well going in. There isn't, just the odd one. There's quite a few. Here's Wells bowling into Gubbins. So Wells does have another over here. Gubbins plays that quietly on the leg side. So yeah.
What about all the scores around the country? It doesn't sound like there's too many results, but possibly a couple, but most of the games sound like they're going to end in a draw.
We'll have a quick look again, just to remind ourselves. As Gubbins was on the back foot, there is always a single on the offside, which he takes. 64 he moves on to, 156 for 4. Well, Kent are at a 5 down.
5 down, yeah.
So they need another 277 to beat Essex, so it's about Essex picking up 5 wickets between now and the close.
I think Gloucestershire could lose.
I never really look at Division 2, yours, but
it's a poor show.
Yeah, but I think most people that listen regularly.
Middlesex are in Division 2. What do you mean?
Well, this is. They're not
What
the
about
side
that?
they were when
500
you played.
No, 551 for 2 or something today. Incredible, isn't it?
They've been involved in some high-scoring games, haven't they?
There's a reason for asking, actually, that
Yes.
they're all ending in a draw, because I've got a Kookaburra ball in my pocket.
Oh, right, yes, Loz.
And comparing it to a Duke's, I was
Right.
talking about this with Scott yesterday, and just think they're chalk and cheese, really, aren't they? It's like bowling with a piece of cheese. There's a Kookaburra.
Well, let's do that after this over. Oh, he's forward. This could be out. LBW. There's a big shout. And he's on his knees, is Luke Wells. He's Nathan Lyon-esque. But he gets the same result from the umpire. Not out. He's still on his knees, Luke Wells. Now he's up. Well, that kept low.
A hell of an appeal, wasn't it? Brilliant appeal. It did keep low. I wonder if he was just outside the line there. It's quite hard to see. It's very bright, isn't it? Maybe he was just outside the line, and as he was struck, Ben Wells is still talking to the umpire. How did you not give that out? So, well, that's not going to get you another wicket, is it?
I was going to say that's probably going to do the opposite. One or two people in the crowd just clapping there. Wells is finally back to the start of his mark. But it was close, that's for sure.
Certainly wasn't going over.
No, it wasn't, no. So Tom Press lives to find another delivery, at least, as there's the leg break. There's the googly, as that's turned away by Press down to backward of square leg, and he moves on to 30. 57 for 4. So yeah, looking forward. So let me quickly do the rest of the Division 1 scores before we talk Kookaburra. Somerset are 330 for 7 in their second innings against Surrey. Somerset leading by 187.
So that's a draw.
They might be all right there, I think. Durham lead Warwickshire by 65. Are 246 for 5. They're
In the balance, but
yeah, it is in the balance.
another
isn't it?
half
Yeah.
an hour and that'll be a draw.
Yeah, so those are the other games in Division 1. I think there's one other I might have missed, actually. That's pushed out on the onside by Gubbins, and there's no run.
Essex.
Essex. Oh, that's the Essex-Kent game, isn't it? So, yeah. Sorry, Somerset. Hampshire, Lancashire, of course, here. Oh, the result, yeah, there was draw between Notts and Worcestershire, because there was rain there, wasn't there, at Trent Bridge. So that's already a draw. That was been a draw for a while. Wells bowls Gubbins forward. That's the end of another over negotiated. Gubbins stays on 64, 157 for 4. Hampshire lead by 40. Right.
I mean, would you bowl with this? I'd love to hold this up to our cameraman who's over there somewhere. He probably won't be able to pick it up very well. It's we're not close. No, he's tried. He's trying very hard. So that's the Kookaburra. That's the Duke. Probably not. You can't tell from that distance the difference between them. Even if I hold them in the sun, this is the Kookaburra. This is the Duke here, and this Kookaburra is just coming apart totally. There's bits of seam hanging off it, and it's soft and no shine on it. I mean, it's just absolute rubbish. What do you think? You wouldn't want to bowl with that, would you?
Well, trying to shine one side of that wouldn't be easy, would it? I think it's ripped as well, isn't it? So how many overs is this?
Well, I don't know, but it's probably 30, 40, maybe 40, 50 overs.
Soft,
It's a net ball. It's come out from the nets, but right. It's Nathan Lyon anyway, trying to do something with the Kookaburra here, to try and wrestle another wicket. He gets a quicker one there to Prest, who's back and watching it carefully. He's played well again, Tom Prest. He was impressive in the first innings, handled Lyon very well, did lots of little paddle sweeps and reverse sweeps. I should think that's out of the equation now. I'm not sure he's going to be trying that just at the moment. And that one's down the leg side from Lyon. Strange appeal, actually, that, because it was always missing, but someone had a little shout. 157 for 4. It's lovely having a ball, though. I mean, look at that Dukes there. Isn't that a magnificent ball?
Yeah, but that feels as though it's fairly new.
Well, it is new.
Yeah,
it is. I mean, obviously, there's a difference in the age of those two balls.
Yeah.
Here comes Lyon again and defends, and Press puts it back up the wicket.
But the Dukes feels bigger. Would you say hold those two?
Yeah. I think it's partly because the seam is so proud.
Yeah.
The Duke's seam is so bold. It's double stitched, a Duke's seam, whereas a Kookaburra is machine stitch, single stitch. So it really is quite contrasting. Lyon over the wicket, bowls, and Prest is very carefully and correctly forward there. Bat and pad close together, smothering the potential spin. Short leg in position. A man just also in catching just a sort of short square leg as well, and a short mid-on as well for the upward clip, the uppish clip. Lyon wide of the crease this time, defended again by Prest. Fielded just in close there. I think that's Josh Bohannon, is it? At short mid-wicket. So 157 for 4, 30 odd overs for Hampshire to survive. Line bowls again, flatter and closer to the stumps that time. He's trying everything, he's trying all his tricks. He hasn't come round the wicket though for a while against the right-hander. I wonder if he might try that. Anyway, at the moment, Prest looks pretty secure. So that's the end of the over.
It's weird, isn't it? I mean, there is so much talk now about cricket this and that, cricket that, isn't it? And obviously at the moment the in things about kookaburras and that. But when you're younger, I don't know. I mean, I've used these abroad, and so, like you, I never thought about it much.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
It was just a ball in my hand, and I bowled with it. You know what I mean? If it didn't swing, it didn't swing, and if it seemed,
good attitude.
But you know, but now there's so much chat and so much written.
Well,
that
there's
it
so
actually
much
makes you
analysis,
think
you
more.
see,
Yeah.
I suppose, and you know, it becomes something. I mean, when you look on, when you use the analysis now, and I mean, we've got Hawkeye programmed into umpires now. Even in county cricket, there's a sort of eye hawk thing which watches the ball and monitors the accuracy and monitors the amount of movement that you get. I don't know if you saw the other day on Instagram. I'll carry on after this ball.
Wells with his leg spin, carrying on from the pavilion end, bowls to Gubbins. Gubbins lets that ball hit him on the pad, so it goes out on the leg side.
There's actually an app you can get, and I'll remember the name in a minute, on your phone, and you can film a ball in the net like Hawkeye and get a Hawkeye track. And Rashid Khan was doing it the other day, and he worked out, or they worked out, he was spinning the ball 3.7 degrees kind of thing. Well, so all that analysis is available.
Gubbins gets a full ball on the leg stumps. Somehow the ball spews out onto the offside.
So, you know, then the impact that a Dukes has is actually measurable.
Yeah.
I think it does become a talking point, doesn't it?
That's an interesting app. If you remember the...
I will, I'll look it up. It's on my phone. I've got it.
Message me, even if... message me
I'll
another
find
time.
it.
I presume it's about
I've remembered
20
it.
quid. There's the googly, which sort of holds its line, and it's pushed out on the offside by Gubbins, and he moves on to 65 with that single. 158 for 4, Hampshire lead by 41, and we have 28 and a half overs minimum left in the day.
It's called Full Track AI.
Yes.
I got it on my phone,
Right.
and if you open it, Full Track AI, you know, it actually does. You can film your bowling in the nets. I think you do have to pay for it. There's probably a free version.
Yeah.
And then you have to pay a paid version, and it produces tracks.
Okay, I'll have a look at that. Pulled by Tom Prest. Fine, there's nobody there. That's going for 4. He moves on to 34 now, does the youngster. And Hampshire on to 166 for 4. And slowly but surely now they are getting themselves into a situation where they should be okay. I think they were always going to be okay as long as they played properly.
Yeah, it's a good shot that though. I mean, it's easy to put that away for 4. Good shot. You want to still put away the bad ball. That's good cricket.
Exactly right. He got a couple of shorter deliveries early on in which he hit both for 6. So he's very quick on anything short at the moment. 34 of 52 for Prest as he leaves that one. There's a googly again. He's favouring the googly at the moment, isn't he, Luke Wells? Because he's getting just a bit of purchase on that.
Yeah.
Just enough. He seems to be confident in bowling that as well.
Yeah. Well, actually, with the action he's got, which is slightly over the perpendicular, probably the googly is an easier ball to bowl than the leggy.
Yeah. It certainly seems that way. As he comes in again and bowls. That's too short. Press works that away to the fielder at mid-wicket. End of the over. Another one ticked off. 28 to do. 162 for 4. Will we have all those 28? Will we shake hands a little early? We'll have to wait and see. The lead is 45.
Tom Prest, very impressed.
Yes.
And I mentioned his name to Rob Key on Saturday night.
All right.
I don't know if that was a good thing to do or a bad thing to do. It might have held him back. But we were having quite a nice game. We were off air, not on stage. We were debating who are the greatest 10 fast bowlers of all time in all, for the world, and it's quite a good exercise, that, because I was thinking about our era and a bit about the modern era as well. And
this was at your dinner on Saturday night.
This was dinner on Saturday night. Yeah, we were at dinner at the Bearsted
Kent.
Cricket Club in Kent.
Yeah.
And we came out with some interesting names. I'll run through them in a minute.
I could probably think of 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Because Kesey would have faced a few of them.
Yes, he
wouldn't
would. Yeah. Here's Lyon round the wicket to Gubbins, who defends. So we certainly had Ambrose, and interestingly, Keys had Cummins and Bumrah in his top 5 actually of all time, which is interesting. And I think I would go along with that actually. Here's Lyon again, who bowls and defended carefully by Gubbins. Ball trickles out on the leg side. There is no run. Hampshire 162 for 4. Who else? I said Ambrose, and McGrath. Wasim Akram.
Yeah,
what a nightmare. I mean, he was terrible to face, wasn't he? Horrible.
Not nice.
Did you face him much?
Yes, a few times. Up at Old Trafford, I remember once. Ball just balloons at you from nowhere, doesn't it?
Lyon bowls again, quicker this time. Gubbins carefully forward, pops it out on the offside. They go through for a quick single.
His arm comes over in no time.
Yeah.
And the ball's on you.
I know.
He just ambles in.
Yeah.
And you think, right, get ready for this. Oh, it's here.
and he also, I don't know if you ever faced him when he was bowling round the wicket, but he ran up behind the umpire, bowling round the wicket, then popped out at the last second. And, like a missile that came from nowhere. Who else did we have?
Fast arm, very fast arm.
Key asked if I'd have Wakar Yunis in my top 10. I said no. But interestingly, no. Because he was brilliant, but he needed an old ball, I think, to be really devastating, whereas the other ones we've mentioned would be as good with new or old.
That's interesting.
Lyon round the wicket now to the right-handed press, and that's a big appeal for LBW as he shoulders arms. And the umpire says no. Lyon on one knee says, please, please give me that. But no, the umpire's refusing to do it. That's a dangerous leave, that. Let's have a look. Oh, I think it probably pitched outside leg, actually.
That was my initial thought.
But it's a dangerous leave for Pressman. Maybe it's a brilliant piece of judgment.
It's also got to come back a lot, hasn't it?
Lyon again round the wicket, bowls, pressed is forward, defending. So who else did we have? We talked about Donald, Alan Donald.
Well, he was hard work, obviously. It's interesting what you say about Wakar Yunis. I'm just wondering, I never thought about that before, but do you think he really sort of came alive when he liked the reverse and that got him going?
Yeah, because actually, as Lyon bowls again and pressed defence, I mean, Wakar Yunis he was fast, but he wasn't that devastating with the new ball, was he? Not really. He could take wickets, he could swing it out a bit, but it was quite slingy. Yeah. And he was that big in swinging Yorker with the old ball when he was really devastating. Dennis Lilly, of course, going back in time a bit more.
I only faced him when he was his last year or two at Northants. He was a little bit slower.
He was one of the greats, undoubtedly. But you see, interestingly, we haven't mentioned in this list of 10. We haven't mentioned Broad or Anderson, and is Anderson, of course he's the top wicket taker as a fast bowler, is he one of the greatest 10 bowlers in the world of all time? Dale Steyn was another one we mentioned. I said no. Dale Steyn, no, because he blew hot and cold a bit, brilliant bowler. But Hadley we actually didn't mention. I mean, there's so many, aren't there, really? But it's difficult. But interestingly, Key said he rates Cummins and Bumrah in particular in those sort of top 5. I mean, you tend to remember the more recent bowlers, I suppose, more often, more commonly. But one of the interesting things about both of those bowlers is that both of them bowl with their hand slightly beyond the vertical, which actually makes them that much harder to bowl, because it looks like the ball's coming in, and yet they can make it go away.
That's the danger ball, wasn't it? I don't think I would have liked to have faced Bumrah.
No,
would you?
Horrible.
Yeah, there's some bowlers that you just think, no, don't want to hear that.
He's the only bowler, I think, who has come top of the Test match rankings, the 50 over rankings and the 20 over rankings, all three. Not necessarily at the same time, but in his career he's been top number 1 bowler in all 3 formats, and I don't think any other pace bowler has ever done that. There are some other batsmen who've done it. Kohli's one, Ponting is another, but no bowlers.
Okay. Well, Scott Reed said Blatherwick might get a bowl. Here he is, round the wicket, right arm, and bowl short. And Gubbins quite easily just sways inside the line, and it goes through harmlessly to keeper Hurst. So we have just under 27 overs left in the day, assuming we do have all those. Gubbins 66, Prestige 34, Hampshire 163 for 4, lead by 46. Talking to Simon Hughes here about fast bowlers. Yeah, Bumrah, he wouldn't be on my list. I'm glad I'm not playing when he's
If you look at his average, I mean, ridiculous. And which current England bowler, after this ball you can answer, has the best strike rate? Current England bowler.
Here's Blatherick bowls, and that's nudged away off the back foot by Gubbins down to third, and he moves on to 67, 164 for 3. The current England bowler with the best.
England bowler, fast, medium pacer, fast bowler with the best strike rate, i.e.
in tests.
Wickets per ball, yeah.
When you said medium
Or
pace,
balls per
they
wicket.
can't be express then. So
Yeah, well, I suppose I gave that
you've
away,
given
really.
that away, yeah. So actually, most of them are not express. So let me think. Somebody who was in India,
Yeah.
that's not express.
Yeah.
Best strike rate. I'm trying to think who bowled in India actually.
Wood.
Let me
One.
think. Wood, well, he's express, so it's
Anderson.
not him. Anderson. It's obviously not him.
Actually,
No,
not
because it's
too many
obvious.
seamers bowled in India, to
No, I
be
was going to
honest.
say, who else was playing? Because it was mostly spinners.
Well, there's a chap who runs in quite a long way and bowls at sort of...
Oh, Ollie Robinson.
Yes.
Sorry, yes,
I
of
think
course.
he takes his wickets at 42 balls per wicket, which is, for Test cricket, pretty, damn low, very low.
He's a very deceptive bowler. What do
Yeah.
you think makes him better than he looks?
It's the high release.
Yeah.
He's got the highest release of anybody in the game in England, apparently, even though he's not the tallest. Yeah, very, very high release.
Blatherick over the wicket to Prest. Gone full there. Prest works it up to mid on. That's interesting. I also think he has a very good 360 with his arm, doesn't
Right.
he? He seems to get a very good wind with his arm,
Right.
don't you think?
Yeah.
So it's very smooth, high action, the whole lot, isn't it?
Yeah. Shall we look at Blatherwick and see what his action's like? This ball.
Let's do it.
Let's have a look. So,
It's probably a similar pace, Robinson.
I think this chap's a bit quicker, isn't
It
he?
might be, yeah, might be.
Let's have a look.
Comes in now to Prest. Bowls. Good length ball. Prest off the back foot. Steers it into the gap through the covers. Nice looking shot. Will it go for 4? Good contest. Oh, not quite. Not quite.
That was the escort service to the boundary almost, wasn't it?
That's right. Help it along. But it was picked up just inside the rope. So Prest picks up 3 and moves on to 34, I think that is. But that's the 50 partnership between these two, which does get a round of applause. There's not many in the crowd. 15 of that to Gubbins, but 37 of that 52 has been scored off the bat of Tom Prest. 88 balls, those 52 runs. And the lead now is 50. So Blatherick, yeah, actually he has quite a good wind-up with
Tell
his
you what,
bowling
he's
arm,
not.
doesn't he?
I think you're right. He is about Ollie Robinson's pace, actually.
Yeah.
I thought he was a bit quicker, but yeah, he's about the same.
Yeah, well, I suppose
Let's
slowness
have
of
a
the
look.
pitch doesn't help him. There hasn't anybody. On the line of leg stump, turned away by Gubbins. But actually he has quite a good wind-up with his bowling arm, doesn't he? Actually. Talk about bowlers having almost like a 360 degree wind through with the ball.
Yeah.
With the arm. He's very close to that. I think.
Yeah, no, he is. I like his kind of upright. He's got quite a classic action, hasn't he? It almost leans back a little bit before he lets go. You don't want to lose too much momentum in your run-up. I wonder if he does. He lands with his back leg, and his back leg sort of stops his body moving through the crease as quickly as it might.
Actually, there is a bit of a stop, isn't there? As that's turned away by Gubbins for a single on the leg side, as he's done so often in this innings. He moves on to 68, 168 for 4. I've just got to go and do something actually. Scott, I might have to bring Scott in because I've got to think. So we'll leave Simon Hughes with Scott Reed to talk about fast bowling.
So, Blatherwick, perhaps he could. So much of the key to fast bowling is actually run up, getting your run up right, and I wonder if his run up is a little bit ponderous at the moment. It's a sort of coasting run up rather than a momentum, and just getting a bit more speed into that run up so he hits the crease a bit quicker, and then his body can do its bit afterwards. Tell me about Blatherwick background.
Well, he started at Notts. Lancashire signed him from Nottinghamshire maybe 3 years ago now. He's not had too much of a kind of consistent run in the team, really.
Look at these people in shorts.
They're bonkers, aren't they?
Extraordinary, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose they're getting a tan, though, at least.
I'm getting a windburn, I think. There's Nathan Lyon from around the wicket bowling. Forward goes Gubbins in defence, and there's no run. 168 for 4, lead of 51. So Lyon into his 27th over of this innings. Bowled 38 in the first. Again, Forward goes Gubbins, defends, no run. 4 around the bat to Nick Gubbins, who's 68 not out. He's batted very nicely in this match.
Thinking about a not out in the here, that always helps. Nice to get that and help the average.
Lyon to Gubbins, and reaching forward, the ball deflects away into the onside.
Going down. Lyon there immediately said, actually, as you'll see from the replay here, he actually indicates it's going down the leg side there. Well, his left arm sort of throwing that. No, didn't get that right.
To Gubbins, straight a ball to Gubbins, who has to defend. Again, there's no run. Scooped up by Lyon, who comes in off quite a long approach, doesn't he?
Yeah. It's such a contrast to his predecessor Warren, who sort of just walked to the wicket, a very short approach.
In again, Gubbins forward and defends. Again, there's no run.
I think that was a 23-yarder, as they call it. I think he bowled that from behind almost behind the crease. So he's trying all his tricks here.
He's tried pretty much every trick in the book he's got, hasn't he, so far across the match, Nathan Lyon. And balls to Gubbins, forward in defence. End of the over. A maiden for Nathan Lyon, 27 overs, 10 maidens, 2 for 47. 1, 6, 8 for 4. The two batters meet in the middle. The partnership
over
is
50.
worth 53 now.
Yeah, they played really well. I mean, in the end, the wicket's won, isn't it, really? It's slightly too flat, I suppose, also factoring in the Kookaburra as well. But there's never been much in this pitch. Lyon's done his best to find a little bit of spin, but it's pretty slow spin, if it is anything, and there's not much bounce. So they've almost dispensed. I mean, we noticed when both teams opened the bowling, they hardly had any slips, because certainly this innings, because they didn't feel that the edge would carry to slip. So it's tough work getting wickets on here, and I suppose that's indicated by the scores so far. Hampshire 367, Lancashire got 484, and now in the second innings Hampshire 168 for 4. So Blatherwick's going to have another go. He's bowled 5 overs so far. He's going to have another go at Tom Prest. 2 men in catching positions on the leg side and a short extra cover as well, as Blatherwick bowls short bouncer and ducked underneath by Prest. Swung a bit after it went past the bat. Nicely taken actually by Hurst behind the wicket. Not lovely evening now if it wasn't for the wind. Sunny, clouds sort of scudding across. I bet the players are actually really looking forward to the dressing room, because especially those out in the outfield. I mean, you get so cold if you're not, especially if they're playing for a draw and you don't get much to do in the outfield. You're stood out there and you think, what the hell am I doing here? Deep mid-wicket. At least the guys on the leg trap are all engaged. 4 of them now in catching positions on the leg side as Blatherwick bowls again. Another bouncer fended off by Prest, who wasn't quite sure there whether to duck or to stand up and play it, and in the end he played it, and it just gave the backward short leg just a little sniff, but fell well short.
Yeah, well, the ploy's been set here, hasn't it, by Lancashire?
Yeah.
Blatherwick trying to bowl that type of delivery, get one in and around the rib cage, bring those catches into play, but this will be hard work for Blatherwick.
Yeah. So he's quite a long run up here, and yeah, he's got decent momentum into the ball, and he bowls that one, and Prest is up on his toes again, playing that one away on the offside. It's very clear, as you say, Scott, what the tactics are here. Nobody really on the drive or anything to cover anything that's full. Got a backward point on the boundary, a deep square leg and a fine leg on the boundary, and everyone else sort of round the bat. Short extra cover, 4 men catching on the leg side, and Blatherwick bowling from the pavilion end here at the Utilita Bowl. Bowls short, but he just can't get it up. I mean, that only got up about waist high. Prest plays it comfortably. Rob Key was saying in our dinner actually the other night how what's the next step for England? Almost like they've reached a 2-year sort of crossroads, if you like. They've had a very good period, and then they had a poor winter, and now's the time to kick on, he said, with that group of him, Ben Stokes and Brendan McCullum, and what they seek are pace bowlers. They've got the batters, they've got emerging spinners. Can they find some quick bowlers? Blatherwick bowls, tries to dig it in again. It's fended away by Prest into the leg side, just in front of square. Have you seen anybody, that you reckon's got some pace?
Only the ones that kind of just kind of crept into the test team. I mean, likes of obviously Gus Atkinson now, and Josh Tong.
Josh Tong, actually.
He's
He's got something.
Isn't he? Yeah, he's had a good, consistent run of performances in county cricket for a few years now.
And I thought he seemed to get quicker when he played for England. I don't think people realised he had, maybe he didn't even realise he had the potential to bowl that sort of 88 mile an hour short ball. Now everybody's back now as Blatherwick bowls to Prest, who defends again. I'm not quite sure what the idea was there. All the men that were in catching positions all disappeared into the distance, but to the same result, a block. So that's the end of the over. What's the score? 168 for 4, Hampshire. And what are we talking now? Another 25 overs to go? 24.
Yep.
Okay. So it sort of feels like a draw, doesn't it?
A bit. It feels like a draw everywhere, really. Albeit Essex have just picked up a 6th wicket, so Kent is 6 down.
Oh, okay.
So there's still a bit of life in that match.
There's the scorecard, just to see those 4 wickets that fell for Hampshire in their second innings. I suppose when Kyle Abbott fell, the night watchman, they would have thought, perhaps Lancashire would have thought they could have a chance getting James Vince to the wicket, but Vince looked pretty secure for a while and staved off any threat. Of course, it helped that we lost 2 hours of play as well, so it's a fairly inevitable draw. Lyon's done his best and now he's being replaced. Who's that bowling now? That's going to be George Bell. Yeah. I thought he was a keeper.
There's a bit of all sorts.
Any idea what he bowls?
Yeah, a bit of off spin. Yeah, he bowled a bit last year. Bowled a little bit last year. Bowled a bit in pre-season for Lancs, I noticed as well. But
the best position to be today is probably the short leg, because he's got pads. He's got the shin pads. He's just putting the shin pads on. He's got the helmet. You want a helmet on today somewhere, don't you? So either a keeper or a short leg fielder. Short leg fielder's not much danger of getting injured today because there's not too much aggressive batting. So you got your ears warm and your legs reasonably warm. He's even wearing it out at mid wicket. Look at that. So there you are. I see. That's the best position. He's probably got some body armour protection underneath his shirt as well.
So George Bell replacing Nathan Lyon from the hotel end and around the wicket. Nice little start from Bell.
Can you explain this tactic now? They had obviously they wanted to give Gubbins the strike, get him off strike there, didn't they? Because they had everybody back. So they want to bowl at the right-hander, Tom Prest. But I mean, Prest has looked quite impressive. Is there something between George Bell and Tom Prest, sort of mates from the England under-19s, and I'm not getting out to him and make him a bit nervous or something?
Well, we mentioned all the different tactics and approaches you need to use to try and get wickets in this game, and that would be slightly left field, but I like it. Well, he's got a bit around the bat, hasn't he? He's got 3 around the bat, Tom Prest. Bell's going to bowl over the wicket to him. 169 for 4, lead of 52 now. And just gently goes back with loads of time just to dab it back towards the bowler, no run.
That was a gentle delivery.
It was.
Mind you, if he's been freezing all day on the field, it's not that easy to come on and bowl now, is it?
It's Bell in to Prest.
Oh, thank you very much.
Through mid-off, that'll be 4.
That's a nice little gift.
And the lead moves up to 56 now.
Ian Botham's favourite ever wicket was his mate Viv Richards. Not an Ashes wicket or a West Indies wicket, but playing for Durham against Glamorgan, bowling lollipops at the end of his career. Viv was terrified of getting out to him, bowling at sort of 58 miles an hour, and he tried to turn one sort of very carefully into the leg side, got a leading edge. Beefy caught and bowled him. It's the best wicket of his career.
Bell to Prest. Forward in defence, and there's no run. There's a few oohs and ahs from the Lancashire fielders. there's not a great deal happening there. It's dabbed towards Blatherwick, who scoops it up and hands it back to Bell. A little bit flatter and quicker. Oh, he's hit that back down the pitch, and then Bell gets a fingertip to it, and
wish he had.
And wish he'd not bothered. Yeah, ringing his right hand. Not too sure he's having too much fun here, really. The final ball of the over for Bell. It's pressed weights in and bowls. It's a full toss.
Goodness.
Which is hammered away for 4. And I'm not so sure we're going to see too much of George Bell with his off spin as he collects his cap. It's the end of the over. He's got the feel of the drifting towards the end of the game type feel to it, in truth. What's the lead now? It's 60 runs. And I'm not so certain we'll have a great deal longer left in the match. Simon Hughes is leaving us. Kevin's back alongside us. Simon needs his balls, so to speak. There you go.
Hello, madam.
One was particularly ropey, wasn't it? There.
It was.
Yeah, seen better days in that one.
Yes.
I think I don't think we've got long left.
Either way,
Yes,
there is a huge shower coming, isn't there?
there is
From
and
the west.
It's just got the feel of it all drifting to its conclusion here.
Yeah.
The ground staff are sat on the cover as well, waiting, because that quite heavy shower, which is away to our right hand side, with the skies are filthy, is heading in our direction. And here comes Blatherwick in from the pavilion end and bowls, and that's defended by Gubbins. No ball signalled by the umpire.
Can I read a couple of emails out before we go?
Certainly can.
Tony Skinner, under the heading of lack of results, sunandcricket@gmail.com, says, thanks again for your ongoing cricket coverage. I know draws are always going to happen in the Championship, but is there anything the powers that be could be doing or are doing to mitigate this? Has there ever been consideration to artificial pitches or improved drainage or anything like that?
Blatherwick from around the wicket bowls, short to Gubbins, who ducks under it. The rain's falling now as it drifts across the ground, and I think we're going off, and I'm not so sure we might get back on. Players are heading off, rain is tumbling, the ground staff will fire up the hover cover, and the skies away to the west look filthy, in truth. Players are leaving the field as the rain falls, and I would be surprised if we see any more play in the game. 179 for 4, lead of 62.
Yeah, I think that's just about it. I think we were probably going to be it in a few minutes anyway, weren't they, with the captain shaking hands. Neil Halsworth of Explorer Coffees, other coffee companies available, but it's very nice because he gave us all a load. It's a shame he didn't come up here this game, actually, Scott, you missed out.
Yeah, I did.
Just catching up with the day's play from around the country. Is every game heading for a draw? It looks that way. Has there ever been a round of Championship games where every fixture has resulted in a draw? That's some work needed there somewhere else. By somebody else. Watching from a windy Blackpool, says Sebastian Grama. It's pretty similar here, so thank you for everybody that emailed. There's one or two that I probably won't have time to read out. We've had a few. Thank you as always, and the hover cover is coming on. I think that's going to be it.
I think that they are on the shaking hands, the players and the umpires, and the two not out batters are all shaking hands, so that is definitely it. The match finishing in a draw here, and well, I mean, both sides have done what they could to try and see if they could get an advantage, and I suppose Lancashire will feel as though coming into this final day they had a chance to put Hampshire under pressure. They were in front in the game, and they'll take something from that, but in truth both sides, the batters on both sides have played nicely. The bowlers have worked hard to try and bowl the opposition out, but it's been hard going, I think, across the 4 days, in truth, and two good sides shaking hands on a hard-fought draw.
Yeah, I think both sides would have taken the result before the game. Both sides will be hoping to be out there, near there at the end of the season. But I think something that has been proved in this game is that if you've got a good pitch and you've got a Kookaburra ball, it is very, very difficult to bowl sides out. And there's some good bowlers on show in this game, spinners and seamers, and they all found it very hard work, all of them. international players and former international players and good county bowlers alike. It's been hard work. The bat has definitely been on top. Hasn't been on top in terms of huge run scoring because it hasn't been that sort of pitch. It's been fairly slow. So if the bowling's been accurate, it's been difficult to get away. But even so, it threatened to come to life, didn't it? Late afternoon yesterday.
We said it might have been a bit of a slow burner, didn't we, at one point? But
yeah. But I think losing 24 overs this morning probably just took whatever chance Lancashire might have had of winning this game away. And once Gubbins got going, well, he didn't get going, but once Gubbins got in, difficult to dislodge. And with James Vince alongside him this afternoon, 33 using up 93 balls, time was just running out, and not at any stage really did Lancashire even threaten to run through Hampshire, and that's been pretty much the story of the game from both sides.
I think it has, yeah. There's much more I can add to that, yeah.
No, I think you're right. Well, no, I was going to say thank you because we always enjoy your company, Scott, when you come down, and thank you to you and Melissa over the last couple of days, and Gemma on the first day, and Simon Hughes having, I think, has been a real added bonus as well, his insights, and Dave Allen over the last couple of days with his usual mix of old cricketing stories, which we love. And that's just I think that's just about summed it all up, hasn't it, really?
Yeah,
in the cold weather.
In the breezy cold weather, yeah. I think it'll be a game where the bowlers will look forward to having a rest and getting the Duke's ball back in their hands next week.
That's for sure. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And Lancashire, Essex next week. Scott will be there, and Hampshire are here against Warwickshire, starting on Friday. Hopefully, we will see you all then.